Let's do this. Get ready for the Dirt Life Show.
Yeah, buddy. Welcome. Monday night, episode 57 of the Dirt Life Show. Tonight we have some awesome guests that we're going to talk to. We had some racing over this past weekend. And back in studio, my one of my best friends, longtime friend, Casey Peck. How's it going, bud?
It's going.
You have a pretty good weekend?
Busy.
You've been working like a dog?
Yeah, I can't seem to catch up, but it's all good. I'm breathing.
Is it the C19 that's making it hard, or is it just work in general?
Yeah, just everything.
That's cool, though, man.
Life in general.
I feel like the same way, though. Like, every time I seem like I feel like I'm catching up, it's like, nope, we got to work more.
Right.
But the best part about it is that we do have to work. And, like, when you come home, do you feel like you've really accomplished a lot?
It just feels like the list keeps getting longer.
Really?
Yeah. You knock something off and something else. I told Courtney the other day, it's like, remember that game Connect 4?
Yeah.
Where you pull the bottom one out and it just feeds the next one?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, wait, no, Candy Crush. That's where I feel I'm at right now, but it's all good.
Yeah, that's cool, though. It's nice because it keeps you busy, right? Like, you and me are both those dudes that we cannot ever sit still.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, I'm glad that you guys are having a good weekend. It's kind of getting a little bit cooler here in Arizona, but we don't want to bore everybody with weather.
Yes,
it was an
it
awesome racing weekend. So before we get into all that, we're going to talk some pro motocross tonight. We're going to talk about Lucas Offroad Racing. We're going to talk about some fun that we had at Lucas Offroad Racing. We got Myles Cheek is going to be calling in. He did a full clean sweep of the races this weekend in the Production 1000 class at the Lucas races. He was just so fast, man. He was on fire, and his car was working really well, and he cooked some sweet stuff in the pits.
Isn't it funny? That's as soon as I hear his name, that's the first thing I'm
Chef
thinking.
Cheek?
I'm like, yeah, what's he cooking? There's got to be some cooking.
They had like I think they're called like the grill tops. Is it
Hibachi?
Yeah, the hibachi ones. And, dude, he was out there, like, it smelled like, you know, you go to the races, you're like, oh, race fuel, yes, it smells so good.
Yeah.
Nope, there's like smells like race fuel. And he was grilling onions, he was cooking potatoes. He had, I think he said pulled pork.
He goes deep. He doesn't just do up carne asada.
Dude, it was Chef Cheek. And he had just got done with his race or moto, and he gets back and he's cooking it up, whipping up for the crew. It was awesome, dude.
That's cool.
We have James Jaramillo is going to call in as well. If you remember, we talked with James a while ago. He's I want to say incomplete quadriplegic because he can kind of still move his hands and stuff a little bit, but he's got some difficulties being able to race a car. But, man, he has been putting a lot of effort into his race program and doing some fantastic things with his Polaris RZR.
Didn't he do that awesome steering wheel deal
in his lap?
Yeah,
and he
so
does it with his arm, and he can pull tear-offs and, like, talk with his elbow and his shoulder and stuff.
That's
like
so
these
cool.
little buttons.
Awesome.
I did a little video and it got released this morning that has some details of him getting in the car and stuff. It's just awesome. So we're gonna talk with him and have a little bit of fun with both of those dudes. They both played. Well, actually. RJ Anderson is going to be our featured guest. I think anybody in off-road that listens to the show probably knows who RJ Anderson is. He's done all kinds of fantastic things, man. He's the star driver of the XP1K videos, which is a Polaris RZR 1000, doing stunts, flips, all kinds of fun stuff. He's a fantastic off-road racer. He's started in UTVs, and now he's driving a Pro 4, Pro 2. Has his brother on his team racing a Turbo and a Pro Light. And, man, he just won the Crandon World Cup for the second year in a row, so back-to-back, man.
That's pretty sweet.
That's like winning Monster Energy Cup twice in Supercross.
And doesn't that race have, like, some major history to it, too? I don't know a lot about it, but hasn't it been around?
A pretty good paycheck, too.
I'll bet it does.
Yeah, I don't know how many years it's been around. I think 50 or maybe 51, 52
Yeah,
now.
geez.
We can ask those guys and see what they say. But that was in Wisconsin, and he's from Southern California. So going back there and showing it, the East Coast guys how it's done is no small feat.
No doubt.
Because those guys live up there, drive there, everything. So
speaking of Wisconsin, we're not. It's not cold for us, but
who was saying
it's
that?
cooling down.
Who was saying that?
This is usually what happens. Like cold. They're not saying it, but it's usually how it goes. You don't know cold.
On the Facebook comments are saying it?
Yeah. And Rory says, must be chilly because we got pants on.
You got pants on?
I do.
wore a long sleeve.
I know.
The funny thing is, though, is it's 100 and something outside.
It's still hot. We're just like, hey, it was like 60 in the morning. We're like, yeah.
I just wanted to change it up because you're always looking so fresh in the studio. I got this new SMG shirt. I figured I'd put it on and
sweet.
look pretty good. So thank you very much, Craig Scanlon, for doing that and giving us some of this stuff for my dad and myself. All right, well, before we get into talking about everything that was been going on this weekend, let's thank all of our sponsors and tell everybody how they can watch the show. So you can always watch the show. It's live every Monday night, 6 p.m. Pacific time. You can watch it on Facebook and YouTube. And we post all kinds of stuff on our social media at The Dirt Life Show on Instagram or Facebook. And like I said before a million times, nobody uses Twitter, so who cares about that? But we do post there. And so you guys can join us anytime on social media. And you can also listen to us if you don't want to watch us. You can listen to us on iTunes, Spotify. We just got Amazon, so we're on Amazon Music and podcasts and stuff now. So pretty much anywhere you can consume any type of audio, you can find us and listen to us. And I did want to say thank you to everybody for listening because our numbers are just climbing and climbing and climbing. It's pretty cool to see the reach that the show has gotten. Just a couple dudes sitting in a studio talking about off-roading and having some fun. So it's pretty cool. And at the Lucas races this weekend, actually, I don't know how many people I talked to that were like, dude, it's so fun. Like I get to work on, Monday or Tuesday whenever they want to watch the show or listen to the show. And I just listen to you guys talk shop the whole time. I'm like, yep, that's pretty much it. So it's pretty fun. And obviously we enjoy it too. You did some wrenching this weekend too, didn't you?
I did. That was one of my.
On what?
On the old 450X.
How was that?
It was fun.
Different than full-on motocross?
Yeah, it was bringing back old memories, but it was definitely different because it was like, what are you building to make sure it's going to last, not go fast?
Oh, like not lightweight, like building like a tank?
Like, okay, let's do this and do it this way because I don't want to ever do it again.
Yeah, so it's never going to break down again.
So that was pretty fun. But, hey, go back to that Amazon comment.
What do you mean?
Does that mean we can now have hats and shirts delivered by drones?
I don't know. Maybe
just kidding.
Maybe they'll deliver us by drones to do shows at people's houses.
I have gotten asked, hey, where's the rest of the shirts and hats?
Really?
So I definitely need to throw that back out into the air and say, we better get on it.
Dude. So you're probably the fourth or fifth person that's asked me today.
I'll bet.
And over the weekend, they're like, dude, let me get and not that many people ask about the shirts, like a couple people, but dude, they can't get enough of the hat.
Mm-hmm.
So you're the only one that has that pro hat though with the orange on it.
Yeah, that one's pretty sweet.
Limited edition. Yeah, and I guess I need to make some more hats. They're so limited though, man. We had those hats last time and they sold out. Like, I think, what did I say, 3 hours or something? It was like they were all gone.
That's why we need that drone delivery.
Man, I don't know. So, yeah, I guess we should. But do I want to keep the hats limited, or do we want to keep them, like...
Well, I think you just do different runs. That makes them limited.
Oh, like have, like, a special limited hat for, like, drivers and riders?
Well, like, maybe every whatever you do that color.
Yeah, but then the other people that aren't getting the special hats are going to be all pissed off.
And then they want them again. It's like my problem I have with Vans. Like,
that's a good point.
I need that one. That's not about selling the hat. It's just about, hey, that's cool.
So that's what they said. Red Bull is not a drink company. It's a marketing company.
Totally.
Yeah, speaking of marketing and stuff like that, thank you very much to all of our sponsors. We really appreciate everybody joining us and just being a part of the show, man. I'll say it every freaking show, man. I feel like I'm getting old, like a broken record. But really, honestly, we owe a lot to these guys because they jumped on board at the beginning. Justin over at Shock Therapy, thank you so much. Please support the guys that support us. Use the code DIRTLIFE and save yourself a whole bunch of money on any of the Shock Therapy products, Ride Improvement Systems. Give them a call. You can call James over there, any of the guys, and say that the Dirt Life sent you, and they'll hook you up, give you a good discount on all the stuff that you need. And we've had a bunch of people go over there and and get their stuff done. It's really cool. In fact, last time when I was unloading the RS1, went to go testing last week in Phoenix, and I was unloading the RS1 at Shock Therapy, and we had to do a couple things. And some dude in the street, random guy that works in the area, just pulled over. He's like, "Oh, hey George, what's going on, man?" Like he totally knew the show and everything. Like it was pretty cool to see that.
Nice.
And he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna bring my car. I just bought a brand new Can-Am. I'm gonna bring it over here when I get some cash and have them tune in the suspension because all the good stuff you guys are saying about it."
Cool.
So it is really cool to see. And so do what Rob did and go over there and support the companies that support us. So thank you very much to Ryan over at KMC Wheels. I already had to apologize to him because I killed a tire doing some testing, and they're going to hook me up with another tire. So brand new tire, totally my fault, killed it on a rock. But
bummer.
I do have to preface it by saying it's a trophy truck course that I was testing on, and there's rocks like you're driving on the freaking in lava. Like it's
Trophy rocks.
Jeez, dude, they were sticking out. They look like arrowheads, like 3-foot arrowheads sticking out of the ground.
Nice.
So it was like dodging landmines everywhere.
Nice. What's up, everybody? Sorry, we'll catch up. I promise.
Yeah, and so let me thank the rest of the sponsors real quick, and thank you to the guys at Zollinger Racing Products. You can use the code DIRTLIFE over there and save a whole bunch of money. Dude, I said it last time on the show when Joe Whining was here. The products that they make are so insane good. Like, it's bar none the best UTV products I've ever seen. And I'm not just saying that because they support the show. I think pretty much like all around the growth of the UTV industry and the products coming up with that same level of quality is just bitching. Like, it's crazy how good it is now. Thank you to the guys at Solderweld. We really appreciate all their help. You can use the code DIRTLIFE over at Solderweld. Like I said last show, you guys can use the code, you guys should get one of the off-road repair kits that they have. We're going to have one in the little RS1 that I'm going to drive at the UTV World Championship, so I can have safety just in case something happens. I can repair it and get going. So, yeah, Robbie Hornsby, good seeing you this weekend too, brother. You did an awesome job. Yeah, and then John Hupperts. I don't know how to say your last name, dude. Sorry, Hooperts. Third grade questions were great. So we did a little. You want to catch up on some of these comments first?
Yeah, definitely. Hey, Grady, how's it going, buddy? Jesse Rivera. So, hey, speaking of the hats, there's our buddy, and yeah, Rory says limited editions would be so cool.
Yeah, so Jesse does such a good job, man.
Definitely, he's good on all that stuff.
Brian Clark says shock therapy is cheating. Dude, so to go above and beyond that the shock therapy was cheating, I don't disagree with that comment at all, right? Like, when we race short course, it's a pretty simple setup. Like, you don't have to have that much. It's just like a rock hard setup, and you have to be able to skid around corners. Like,
right.
So it's not that difficult. Well, let me preface this. It's not that difficult compared to the desert racing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because that stuff is so much different, right? And the things that those guys at Shock Therapy do for trail cars is just as intense, because if you have 50 pounds more, 100 pounds more here,
right.
like, all this stuff matters, right?
Right.
But so when we went testing last Thursday in that RS1, we went to a place called Geyser Loop. It's Geyser Brothers Trophy Truck Team, and they go and test on this loop. And when we tested the UTV, like, I went through there, and Justin showed me the lines to take and just kind of gave me an idea in a stock Kawasaki. We just went around and he showed me. And he's like, you can go this fast here, this fast there. And he's saying these numbers, right? And I'm like, dude, you're fucking tripping. Like, there's no way that you could go this fast down these rough, bumpy roads. Like, because there's whoops that are probably 3 or 4 feet high. Like, they're big. They're not as close as Supercross whoops, but they're as big as Supercross whoops. They're just spread apart, like going down Sand Highway or something, but taller and hard, not
right.
sand. And I'm like, there's no way. And he's like, yeah. He's like, in our race cars, we can go, upwards of 80, 90 miles an hour on these things. I'm like, no way, dude. No, like, this little car that I'm going to get in a couple of minutes, there's no way I can go that fast. So I go out there and I'm like, okay, I'm going to cruise around for the first couple laps. I start going, and he put some Fox RC2s is what they're called on this car. They're nice beefy shocks, and they're all like super cushy. The setup's all like, everything's dialed. And I get out there and I'm going like 40, 50 miles an hour, and I'm like, dude, like, this is not that bad. And like, my head's still not the greatest, But I'm like, this is making it way easier for me. Like, if you got in there, you would just go full wood probably. And so I was thinking, like, okay, I might be able to push it more. And I started going 45, 50 miles an hour and started inching up. I did a total of 8 laps a day before I killed that tire. And I drove for roughly 25, 30 minutes. And within that span of time, first of all, my skill set is decent. It's not great. But there's a very small learning curve, right? Like, you have to be up to speed in 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty interesting, right?
Right.
By the end of the 30 minutes on lap 7 and 8, I was going as fast as the car could go. It couldn't go any faster around the whole track, minus stopping to turn, like slowing down to turn right in some of those big trophy truck whooped out corners.
Nice.
It was crazy. I couldn't believe it. Like, and there's absolutely zero possibility I could have done that with stock suspension or not set up suspension.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I couldn't,
No doubt.
I couldn't believe the setup that they just threw me in there. We didn't adjust one clicker. We didn't adjust tire pressure. Nothing. Went out there, just did a few laps.
Pretty awesome.
And that was it. So I was pretty impressed, man. Like, I got back to the truck and I was like, Justin, I don't even know what to say. Like, I'm pretty much speechless. Like, we talked about like my injury and stuff and how I was focused and different things like that, which I guess we could get into, but it's a little bit deeper of a conversation, you know? So, but anyways, it was a good time and I was so impressed with the things that they did. And the car ran great. It had a little bit of power. I think full tilt, as fast as it would go, was just under 80 miles an hour through those big ass bumps and stuff.
That's moving. Think of it's a testament to how hard that he works, they work, you know, that he can say, here it is, like right out of the box, and you can go that hard. That's pretty,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, pull in, hey, let's do a little of this, a little of that, because I feel a little sketchy here. Nope, it's just here.
The only thing I could
bolt it
relate
on
to
and go.
Because I never had dirt bike suspension that's that good, but you had said, I think it was either Pro Circuit or maybe Enzo, which you got, and you were like, dude, it's perfect.
As soon as it was at that level where it was actually Bones doing it.
Bones from Pro Circuit,
yeah,
Jim Bones Bacon.
It was insane, like hard to believe. Like, you could launch it off a house, but then it was still
going
compliant.
through little tiny bumps.
Yeah, I can't explain it.
It's pretty bitchin', man. But to go back to what I was saying before about the growth of the UTV industry, like, it's insane. Like, it blows my mind that I can take a car over to him, not tell him anything. Like, he just knows. He knows me though, but he knows what we're gonna do with it. He knows that I'm gonna push the limits of it, and he just sets it up. Like, didn't adjust the clicker.
Well, and even so that's awesome in that race environment, but even more to where you were going with the Weekend Warrior, like, they probably know, yeah, it's a 4-seater. Okay, yeah, you're going to have an Igloo to the back or a Yeti in the side or whatever, and they know all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's going to be equally as good and enjoyable for Weekend Warrior number 9, 10, and 11 as it is for what he knows to do for a racer.
And I guarantee every single dude
awesome.
is the Robbie Gordon at their camp, and they have to make their wife happy.
Right.
So those are the two biggest qualifications,
perfect.
Right?
Yep.
But yeah, so not just to talk about shocks, but it was pretty cool to be like to be out there at the track and have everybody around and just having a good time, right? Like, you remember how fun it was to go practicing with all your buddies? Well, it kind of felt the same way. Like, so the camaraderie and the atmosphere really, really got me interested. I was stoked, dude.
Good.
So
that's awesome.
It was pretty cool. But anyways, yeah, so we also did some fun stuff this weekend. We saw everybody at the Lucas Offroad races. James Jaramillo, like I said, is going to call in here in a little bit. And we're going to have Myles Cheek call in a little bit later in the show. But it was just cool to see everybody. Like, everybody asked me, oh, don't you want to race? And I'm like, dude, I'm having a great time just hanging out. Like, it's awesome to see everybody and have the camaraderie and just the happy feeling that everybody's got there.
Almost like a homecoming, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it was pretty cool. And we'll try to see if we can fit in the pro motocross talk too over like fit it in with all this good off-road racing that we've had. So I think James is actually calling in right now. Let's see if we can get him on the horn. Is it working?
Should be.
All right. So get out of there. Press on the middle of the screen real quick. Press in the middle of the screen. There you go. Oh, man, now he's calling in again. So, sorry, guys. We're having some technical difficulties here, but anyways, the Lucas Offroad races were super fun. Like, I miss being at the races and seeing everybody. I didn't realize how cool it was to just be at the races and hang out with everybody. Like, all the guys in the pit crews and stuff like that enjoy, like, just hanging out. And I don't know. I was always a racer guy, so it always made me feel like I just was, I don't know, under so much pressure I couldn't have fun, and now I can. So It's pretty cool. And one of the guys that I saw this weekend was James Jaramillo. We got him on the line. What's up, James? How are you?
Hey, George. How you doing?
Good, bro. You've met Casey before, my co-host, right?
Yes, sir.
We did last time I was on.
Yep, been a little while. How you doing, man? Doing good?
Yeah.
Good.
So how is it going back to work on Monday? So you had to drive from Phoenix back up to Vegas and just get straight back to work, huh?
We did, yeah. Luckily, since the race was so early in the morning, it wasn't like you had to do a late night drive and make it back at 2 o'clock and then get up early and go back to work. So we got back last night our race was 11 o'clock, and we got on the road by noon, made it back home, all unloaded and everything by 7. And I've never come back home to Vegas in the summer feeling like it was a relief to be in cool weather, except for this time after I came to Phoenix.
Oh, way to insult Arizona right off the gate, dude.
No, it was so hot. I was actually impressed, not even disgusted by it. I was more impressed than anything. So it was, it was definitely a warm one out there. So luckily I was able to get home, get to bed, and back at work this morning. And luckily it was such a good weekend that it was almost more refreshing to come back to work, not having all these little car gremlins in the back of my head, thinking that I have all these problems to resolve. I'm really happy with how the race yesterday went and how the car was. So now it's just going to be prep it, work on a couple little things, and get it to Glen Helen instead of having to come back and rethink the wheel with all the other things. So it was actually came back a lot more energized and refreshed than I thought I was going to.
You've had those feelings, right, Case, when you go to a race and you come back and you're like, wow, that was a good weekend. Like, everything feels like it's going up.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Nice contrast to when you have that weekend when you're like back to the drawing board.
So
yeah, exactly.
That's one of the things that we talked about last time when we talked to James, is that the development, the engineering, and the ingenuity that he's come up with to be able to drive his car the way that he does. And I explained it a little bit at the beginning of the show, but for any of our audience that just joined or that doesn't know, James was hurt in a dirt bike accident and he broke his neck. And I don't know what it's called, but you're a quadriplegic, but is it incomplete because you can kind of still move some stuff in your arms? But I don't know what it is.
So it's incomplete is what they'll call if you have any type of recovery below the level of injury.
Right.
And I remember when I was in the hospital, it's like 2004, there was a word tetraplegic that I guess is a European word that they tried to have for, because when you think quadriplegic, you think Christopher Reeves, not someone like me. And so they try to have that be something that was more of an in-between. That word never really stuck, so it's just everything I have to fill out and everything the doctor tells me is quadriplegic, and so that's the best word that I have, but it does get a little misleading, I think, for people.
Yeah, and that's the same thing with my injury too. So, but I just want to make sure I'm saying it right. But anyways, so like to be able to come up with that stuff is no small feat, right? It's like designing a new car. You know what I mean? Except for you already know it has wheels and a chassis and an engine, but you got to rethink everything else, right? So it's like, it's a really, really big engineering feat to be able to do something like that. You've gone through it on a different scale, literally a different scale, a smaller scale, but it's the same concept. And for him to be able to come home saying, wow, we're pretty close, or like we did it. Like,
going in the right direction, that's awesome.
That's like, but think about how you felt when you were in that right direction.
Totally.
Like, and that's what he's feeling today. You know, he's probably, if you were at work, people are like, why are you glowing, bro?
Yeah, exactly. People go, how'd the race go? And usually it's the, you have the laundry list of what ended up happening. And then I was like, oh no, actually it was really good. and haven't said that in a while, so that was good.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Oh, yeah, so talking about the shock therapy stuff, Ramon Estevio just chimed in because he went up there testing with us.
Oh, nice.
He was our muscle. He's helping out a lot. But he said, yeah, it was crazy to see all the different setups and things like that they have. So, yeah, I mean, I guess we're talking setups, man, and James's was on point. Like, we saw him racing. He was doing a great job. Saturday when I was there, he had a little bit of bad luck. Maybe I was a bad luck charm. But Sunday, man, they did really well.
Awesome.
Yeah, the car worked awesome. And I think with the way the track was laid out, it's just a shorter track. And the Polarises, I feel like, just work really well, a little bit tighter. And the Yamahas work pretty good when it's more spread out. So, which makes it fun for the class, because for a while it seemed like one manufacturer versus another was the one that just took over. But it's cool having a smaller track and having a couple of the tracks where the Polarises will work good and a couple of the tracks where the Yamahas will work good. And it's going to make a better manufacturer's class, I feel like. So I'm excited about it. And my car worked phenomenal throughout the weekend. Like the corners were good. It was super stable everywhere. It was just a really stable, good platform car. And I was shocked with the stuff that it could help me get away with, especially in the with all those tight rights. The way that it's laid out and the way that we have it set up is just, it didn't feel bikey at all. It was an awesome setup. It worked out really good this weekend.
Yeah, so Case, I don't know if you have ever been to WIldhorse Pass, but any short course track, it's mostly like left-hand turns. This time it was all right-hand turns and one left-hand turn.
Oh, wow.
They ran it backwards and changed the track up a little bit.
Yeah, that'll throw a wrench in the spokes a little bit, huh?
I heard so many people complaining about the track, but, I mean, it was it raced well. It was pretty one line, but it raced decent, yeah. So, but like James was saying, like when you're in a position like him and you're used to putting your body in a position where you're doing G-forces on one way or the other way, it was probably difficult for him to get used to it, but to be able to say that the car was able to suit him properly for that was pretty cool. Have you ever used a monitoring system or a satellite system on your car to be able to tell how many G-forces and what the speeds and stuff that you're doing are?
Yeah, I have that AIM system on there, and so I've been tracking that a little bit. I actually started looking at it over the weekend more because I was talking with a guy out there that does some brake pads, and he was just talking about just different tire compounds and how many in road racing they rate them by how many G's the tire can take before it lets up.
Wow, cool.
And I was thinking, oh yeah, we can track all that on our AIM on our AIM data. And for dirt, it's obviously just more if you want to kind of go down that path, and they throw a little water on the track and that changes everything.
Right.
So I was just curious on the drive home, going through the on the laptop on the data, just see what it was. And it was cool just seeing what the G's were on the corners versus when you get on acceleration, what it puts you back in the seat versus what you get going forward when you're on heavy brake or coming into some of those jumps. So it was some of it was less than I thought, but some of it was actually a lot more than I thought.
Yeah, what was some of the highest G's that you pulled? Because I have a comparison that I want to see if yours is about the same.
So mine, and this was just running probably, I just glanced at it for 13 laps on our main race. It was left and right were both even at like 1.6. Going forward, say like facing into a jump was about 1.7. And coming back on throttle was 7.5. Or sorry, it was like 3/4 of a G.
Yeah.
And I don't quite know what any of that means because I'm not a chassis tuner. I'm not a shot guy, but I just thought that was interesting. And I know when I've rolled, we've seen crazy high G spikes. I forgot what the number was, but it was well, when you hit cage first, that really sends the G meter way up.
Dude, yeah, fully.
I bet.
There was some G forces that we recorded that were, and this was just during races, like going into corners and stuff. And this was before the Hoosiers started, so it was a lot more sticky with the tires. And they were upwards of 7 and 8 going into the corners.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I got to work on my corner speed then.
Dude, it was crazy. Like, we couldn't believe it. I looked at it, and I was like, no way, this is wrong. And then I kept looking at it. It was consistent, the same. And I was like, Jesus, man.
Was it dry track or wet track?
I think these ones were at Glen Helen, so it wasn't like pavement stuff. Like, it wasn't all
blue grooved up.
Yeah, it was the blue groove, I think, does two things. Like, depending on how hard your entry is, you can slide it on it. But at Glen Helen, it's really bad because you catch ruts like right away. So it's real sticky and like, so instead of going smooth through the corner and like sliding, sometimes you stick. So like I think it could have been maybe 1 or 2 G's, and then right when it's stuck, like that's when it spiked.
Tries
the
to
G's.
whip. Yeah.
Then that's when it spikes the G's, and you
Makes
only
sense.
feel it for
Yeah.
Maybe a quarter of a second, but
Right.
it was recorded on the data, so
Sure.
it was crazy. But that's cool though. And my point with all this G's talk was that not only does he have to have all these different mechanisms to be able to drive the car, he can record all the data and see that it's that gnarly.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty bitchin', right?
Definitely.
And he can do it. Like his body is still doing it.
Heck
so
yeah.
I think that's pretty cool, man. Well, did you guys have a pretty good time this weekend then? I saw your crew there. They had a good time.
Yeah, we all had a great time. It was good to get out of town. It was good. You met my dad, so it was nice to just spend time just hanging out with him in the motorhome because we don't really get that often in Vegas. It was especially ending on a successful weekend that always makes it better. But it was a little bit of a smaller group than we would normally want to bring with us. I have some friends and family that live in the area that would be fun to have come out. But obviously with the no fans rules, they couldn't. So it was less people than usual, but it was just a good weekend, and it was exactly what everybody needed. Just a fun weekend working on a little bit of a project, having some racing, and in a way it was kind of nice getting done a little bit earlier in the day too, because then we can spend the afternoon and evening working on the car and not feel rushed.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. The only thing that does suck, though, is there's not enough driving time. Like, you really got limited driving time. Like, it would have been nice, especially for you, because you could have got qualifying every day if it was still not C19 rules or structure.
Yeah, exactly. And I was even just talking with the guys, too. It would be kind of cool almost if they did a 2-moto format, like a early morning round, and then you do a evening one, especially for the fans. Say you do around 6 and 7 in the same day. And kind of like motocross, and then say if there's families that can't come out to watch the race in the evening, they could come out in the morning or the other way around.
I feel like that would be super cool, but I doubt Lucas is ever going to do that.
It would be awesome for a guy like you that wants to tweak it down and get it perfect, but there'd be tons of whiners.
Oh my god!
Because the difference in the track between morning and night,
it's that whole thing where everybody complains if you change something. If you go to work and you got to be there 2 minutes earlier, it's like a full blowout. Like, oh my god, I can't do it. Like, I don't know what to do now.
Yep.
It was really cool seeing everybody, though. That's one of the things that I wanted to bring up at the beginning of the show. Was the best thing about the show, and you and I kind of talked about it this weekend when we were in the motorhome, is like the best thing about the Dirt Life show and just being at the races is the camaraderie, man. Like I still to this day never thought like talking on a little podcast or show would end up creating so many friendships and so much cool stuff, man. It is so awesome. Like I love that feeling now. It's like I can't get enough of it. It's like winning a race kind of.
Oh, completely. And that's what I was telling everybody over the weekend. That's what my dad and I were talking about. Is I told him, especially on Saturday when I made it about 35 seconds into the race before I lost a whole front left and a whole right rear. I said, well, sorry to kind of ruin everybody's day for coming all this way for 35 seconds of race time. But we were both talking about how it's really just so much more about the process and the relationships and the friendships. And I think because it's so hard, it's something that most people wouldn't want to put all the effort in to do it, take the time, just the expense, just everything into it, that everyone that's out there just really appreciates each other for sticking through it and doing it. And you have a lot of commonalities without knowing it, and you end up finding lifelong friendships really with just seeing each other a couple hours every couple weekends, and those stick forever.
Yep.
It's what is
100?
Yeah, well, it's like turning wrenches creates friendships. Like because all the guys at RC, like even Tyrone, I think he does that a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
So it's neat to be able to see that, and like everybody that comes on the show turns wrenches or does something. You know what I mean? It's pretty badass.
Yep.
I really feel like when I left on Saturday, even though you had a shitty race, you still had a good day.
Oh, it was a great day. Yeah.
It was cool meeting your dad, though, because maybe I've seen him before, but I've never actually got to shake his hand, so it was cool meeting him.
Yeah.
So what were some of the highlights of the weekend? I know one of them for me, and I'm going to say it, but go ahead and give me yours.
So a highlight of the weekend was for sure my finish on Sunday, it's exactly just what we all needed as a team. It was a 7th place finish. I've never done that good. And it wasn't even, I mean, I take that back. I've placed better in the regionals. I've placed better in the works race. But in that series, I've never placed that good. And I've always just been in the back, just doing my own thing, trying to work my way into it and hoping I could keep people on the lead lap. And I was a couple tenths off of 5th. And then at the end of the race, it was just a couple seconds. And there were some pretty decent battles going on that it wasn't that necessarily I was slower. I just don't really have that racecraft developed of how to work through people as good as I probably could. So I didn't want to put myself in a position to crash out. And the car worked great that race. We didn't have any little mechanical issues. I didn't have any issues like with my roll-off system or my radio. You know, every race you always have some little bug that's your radio gets stuck on or the spotter radio shuts off or just some weird thing that just makes it uncomfortable. Just everything worked great in the car. There was nothing goofy that I had to really work around. And I think as a team from building that car from frame up starting in November to now we're 7-8 rounds in, and this was like the first time that it was just perfect to the point to where I say, okay, we don't need to really reinvent the wheel anymore. We just prep it and use it. And to see that this is what it's capable of if we don't really have any mistakes in the race was really cool to just get that pat on the back.
That is super cool. And that's no slouch, dude. So a 7th place, and I've said this before on the show, but I remember when we were racing the Lucas Professional Series in the YXZ, there was one qualifying round where the top 12 drivers were 0.9 seconds apart.
Nice.
For 12 people.
Yep.
And so when he says that he was in 7th, that means he's pretty close.
Yeah, for sure.
And now that he's had a taste, all it does is been like, okay, I'm going to start like being able to push. Now he just has to learn a little bit more racecraft, like he said, and get up there and start battling. Like, what was this when you first started having those feelings? Like any type of racing, RC car racing, dirt bike racing, how did it feel for you?
Exactly how I can see it in his attitude right now is exactly like that. You're just like all those late nights of wrenching and all that, you know, sacrifice of whatever you're sacrificing, so many things. Now I can't go out, you know, to dinner with my buddies tonight because I got to go do this. And, you know, all the things that you put aside, you don't talk about it. You just put your head down and make it happen. And then when it finally starts to work and gel, yeah, it's the best feeling ever for sure.
For real. Well, we got Myles Cheek's going to call in, James, so I don't mean to cut you off, but that's bitching that you had such a good weekend, dude, and I'm so stoked for you.
Yeah, good. No, it's fun seeing you out there, too. I was happy to see you. Are you going to make it out to Glen Helen?
We'll see. I'm going to try for sure, but the next step is the TV World Championship. We'll go have some fun out there and hang out with everybody again.
Oh, awesome.
So I'll try to make it out to Glen Helen, though. I'd like to see you guys again soon.
Yeah, no, good. No, it'd be really fun to see you. And Myles toured up this weekend, so I think you guys are going to have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, for sure, right? Well, thanks, homie. I know that you and I will talk this week a little bit more, too. I'm stoked to get involved with some of the stuff that you have going on, man. You guys have a fantastic program, so I'm pumped for you, dude.
Oh, thank you.
All right, bud. Well, have a good night, and please tell your family we said hello.
All right, thank you.
Good to see you.
See ya.
Take care.
So having those different like milestones, like you and I are both like super hard workers, right? Well, a lot of people are hard workers, but it's neat to see that because it doesn't matter what you do, whether it's racing or whether you're, I don't know, doing computer work at your job or whatever it is. When you have those little milestones and you break through that next barrier,
totally.
God, it feels so good, right?
It does, yeah.
Or even
take it to anything, like you said. It doesn't have to be a hobby.
Yeah, like a teacher getting through to a student or something.
Totally, 100%. Yep.
Yeah, so that's neat, man, and I really appreciate that James is approaching it with being so humble and really, really.
James needs Tyrone's suggestion here. You need a winning at life swag, stickers, hats, and shirts, and that's James for sure.
Dude,
as well.
Well, we have that campaign winning at life. That's why he's saying that.
Yep.
So I definitely agree with that. I was actually thinking of getting some T-shirts made that were of the same, maybe
Perfect.
hashtag winning at life or something.
There you go, Tyrone. Perfect.
I haven't really thought of what the design would be yet, though. So we got Myles Cheek calling in. What's up, Myles? How are you?
Speaking of tacos.
Oh, looks like we lost him. So, yeah, so he cooked up some pretty awesome stuff this weekend. So we'll have to see like what he had on the plate, man, because he really did. He cooked up some awesome stuff. It was pretty impressive to see like having that good of food in the pits, right? Like,
well, it's funny that some kids or younger adults, whatever, when they go out and perform or whatever, and they get back, they need to have their thing, whatever it is, watching TV, have a radio going on, play a video game. He cooks.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it.
And he cooks really good too. So some of the stuff that he had, like he said, that pork butt and stuff, like that stuff was really cool. So what's up, Myles? How are you, bud?
Good. Yourself?
We're doing awesome, man. I don't know if we're doing quite as good as you because you had like super bomb food this weekend. You swept the weekend in the Production 1000 class. You had some fun with all your homies, man. You got a really good weekend in.
Oh, yeah. It was one of my better weekends for sure.
Dude, it was pretty impressive to watch you drive. That RS1 that you guys have set up over there is making me a little jealous because that thing was on rails.
Oh, yeah. It was working perfect, and that just goes out to my crew chief and my dad they put in so much work on that car, and even in the years past. And
Yeah.
it's just cool to finally see it start paying off for those guys.
Yeah, especially, like like James was saying, it's a win for everybody, not just Myles, right?
Definitely.
We had a comment come in that's John asked, was the car count good over the weekend? I guess that's kind of a relative question, right, Myles? Like, I think some of the stuff that we did, like in 2016 and 17, the car count could have been upwards of 35, 40 people, and this time it was probably around 15 or so, I think.
Yeah, it's the car count's not quite as high as what it used to be, but there's still a ton of fast guys out there, and you always see some new faces, so it seems like there's some more people that are starting to get into it. There's a couple new guys out there, so it's awesome to see that the class is kind of growing again because it got a little bit lower last year, so it's starting to come back a little bit.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Hey, did you get to hang out with Ronnie at all this weekend, Ronnie Anderson? Because he freaking cleaned house too, man. He did awesome.
Oh, yeah. Ronnie killed it, too. So it's pretty cool that both of us swept the weekend for them. So pretty cool for Polaris.
Yeah, it is pretty neat. And so one of the things that I was checking out, I went and checked out Myles' car, and he sits on the ground. Like, it's almost like F1 style, like where the pedals are like straight out in front of him.
Oh, yeah, got it.
And I asked his dad, I'm like, can Myles see over the steering wheel? He's like, I think so.
I think so.
Like, maybe.
That's funny.
No, it's really not that bad. Like, if you're looking at me through the front, like in all my photos, like I'm right there. It's just the door bar on the side makes it look real bad.
Yeah, because you have it up a little bit. It looks pretty cool, though, too, like when he's doing it. So it's neat to see that he's so low. Well, and center of gravity is probably pretty low, too.
Probably part of the setup, I would assume.
And
and
go ahead.
Just like I think we lowered it maybe 4 inches, and just like that, we could probably go more if we wanted to too, but just that little bit, it like helps, like what you were saying with the center of gravity, but just how much more comfortable I am sitting in the car.
That's good.
Yeah.
Like it feels a little bit more like a race car again.
Yeah, because it gives you options on where you sit and stuff. That actually brings up a good point.
Yeah.
This past week, I had some seat brackets and stuff built by our buddy Jeff Furrier and at upr.com for the RS1 that we're going to race that Craig Scanlon is letting us borrow. And, man, it was like maybe an inch or two difference that he like moved it back and forth and up and down and stuff. Dude, it was like it was like mind-blowing how much it made me more comfortable.
Mm-hmm. I'll bet.
So I could totally...
Yeah, and it's just like little stuff like that too. Just like getting yourself comfortable in the car. Yeah. So
it makes it easier for you to drive and do all that stuff. Hey, we just asked James Jaramillo, like, if he had GPS and could tell them, like, how many G's he pulls into corners. Do you guys track any of that stuff on your car?
He has that Lip Pro, right?
I had that on my car. I think
that all the moto guys run.
I had that on mine. I used the Moto one, the Lip Pro, but I think James uses Aim Dead or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's what he said.
Is that what he said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a Aim Dash, but I'm not too tech with it. Like, I got like the 5 things that I always check whenever I come off the track, but I'll have to start looking into that G-Force stuff.
Yeah, it just sounded pretty cool. Like what especially for him, it'd be neat to understand. So what was some of the? Well, first of all, Casey is a little bit jealous that you were such a good cook over the weekend in the pits.
Yeah.
What was some of the fun
we
stuff
had
that you
some
did
pretty
this
good
weekend?
food. What did we do? We did some wings the first day on the smoker. Then second day we did some pulled pork, and that was really good.
Dang, dude.
So we had that on there for like 4 hours unwrapped, wrapped it up, threw it on there for another 4. Then we went and pulled the one bone out of the shoulder, and it just came right out.
Dude, we should start a cooking show.
Talk about the perfect setup.
I know, right? Dude. And so he's got the smoker.
Oh yeah,
on
I
the
try to
track,
pull my
too.
weight for the. Yeah, so we got the smoker and the flat top out there,
Nice.
so we can pretty much do anything we want now.
That's so good.
Is that your job? Right? Like as far as the setup goes, you got to make sure that you're getting all the stuff to the track. Like that's your part.
Oh yeah, I go grocery shop every time, but
Nice.
Usually when I get back, my crew chief Tim and usually my friends Jason, Colin, or Parker are over there working on the car,
Mm-hmm.
and I just get in the way most of the time, so I just start cooking for them.
Dude, that's so dialed.
That's awesome. You know how appreciative you'd be, like if that was, you can put yourself in that position for a second. You're like, you're the technician. You're gonna make this perfect, and then you've got this, driver that doesn't care, whatever. And this guy's like, no, I'm making sure that you're fed. Like that. There's got to be so much appreciation for that.
That's what I was going to say, though, too.
It has
like,
to be.
So everybody's done this at the track. Every single person. Like, you get to the track and you come back and you're like, shit, I got to make a sandwich. Like, but no, we got Chef Cheek over here, and he's like dialing in the whole like 5-star meals, man. And I was telling Casey when I was watching you, and we were doing some video over at your camp, like how you were cooking, and it wasn't like just like it was fresh, like you was super grilling, like it was like on point, dude. It was pretty good to see that. The reason that I asked what your favorite part of the weekend was, I was going to say, like, I mean, you swept the weekend at the races, but that's no big deal. You actually, like, took home the championship in Are You Smarter Than a Third Grader? That's the biggest, most special thing.
Did you get a cup for it?
The championship is, we still got 2 more rounds of racing left.
Oh, crap. So you just won the How Are You Smarter Than a Third Grader, just round 1. So we got to have more.
It's a triple crown?
Oh, okay. Oh, my bad. Yeah.
It's a
Did I win
triple
that?
crown.
Yeah, you won. You beat.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about the Polaris Championship for the RS1 this year.
No, dude, that's easy for you. We're talking about how to be you smarter than a third grader.
Real talk.
Yeah, this is like.
That was probably the toughest part of the weekend.
Dude, it was funny because I talked to everybody. Well, first of all, you did a really good job, and you battled against Trevor, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Trevor.
And so I went over to Jarrett Brooks' camp, and like Jarrett and Brock Hager were both answering questions against each other. But there was, let's just say, 15 or 10 people in the camp, like working on the truck and stuff. And Jarrett's mom was over there, just like doing her thing, and everybody's in the hospitality area. And all of a sudden, like everybody stops working on everything and joins in all these questions, dude. We were asking questions and doing stuff like how to be smarter than a third grader for probably, God, it was probably 20, 30 minutes, man.
Nice.
And
they just all start chiming in.
Dude, it was crazy. It was like everybody was chiming in, all the wrenches, everybody. And honestly, man, nobody could compete with Jarrett's mom. She smoked everybody.
Shanna?
Yeah. I don't know what her name was.
Yeah, she seems like she'd be good for like a little trivia night or something.
Yeah, so she freaking waxed everybody. And then, like, so it started getting all this, like, I don't know, hype or whatever. And then so I had to, like, turn into just the video guy. Allie Fortin, Brock Hager's girl, was the host of the questions. And then we had Darren Hardesty Jr. and then Elliot Watson were getting the questions asked to him. It was, like, hilarious, dude.
Oh yeah, I need to watch that whole video. I only watched me and Ronnie so far, or my segment, and like Ronnie and RJ's.
Yeah, so I'm gonna ask RJ how he felt about it too, because he took home a victory too. He barely beat Ronnie, like squeaked it out at the last second.
Oh, yeah, a little comeback.
Yep, pretty much. So I thought it was pretty fun. And then you know who Caden Danbury is, right?
Yep.
So Caden wants to do it at the UTV World Championships, and he wants to come up with some questions and stuff too. So that'll be pretty fun.
Oh, that'll be good.
I think it's gonna be cool because like they're surprisingly hard. Like there was first grade questions, second grade questions, and third grade questions, and they were surprisingly difficult. Myles nailed it, but
Do you have to graduate from the first to go to the second?
I don't know. I was trying to like throw them around, like just like because they're all. I don't know. Did you think they were hard questions, Myles, or no?
No, they weren't too bad. It was just like some of them. It's like you think you know the answer right at the beginning, but then like you have to wait until the end to hear it. Like the one with who lands on the moon first.
Oh yeah, Neil Armstrong.
Like at first I thought it was just going to be like who gets to space or whatever.
So all right, let me ask Casey these questions real quick and see if he can get them.
Oh, no.
So the first
All
one
right.
of the first questions
Great.
that I did was, what is 25 times 3?
You know I had brain surgery, right? Twice.
Well, you still got to answer the question.
Okay, say it again. What was
What
it?
is 25 times 3?
25 to 75.
Okay, good. So,
Good.
and then Allie even said, you can't repeat the question. You just have to answer. I was
okay.
like, no, you got to let him repeat the question. And then
Yeah.
Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin were the first two men to do what?
Well, I don't want to go down my rabbit hole with that, but supposedly they were on the moon.
Okay, well, we're talking just social history in the books.
Supposedly.
Okay.
How many minutes are in half an hour?
30.
Okay, good. So I think you could have a good battle on your hands here, Myles, because he's answering them just about as fast as you did. Some of the other guys were having a little bit of trouble, but it was so cool to see everybody so happy to like play a game.
Yeah,
like that.
that's cool. And not be scared to be
Oh
terrible.
yeah, it was fun.
No, they were scared.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, you have to put yourself out there if you're filming it.
Yeah.
So you're scared of it, but at least you're like, yeah, I don't care if I look stupid.
Well, I
guess.
asked like Jarrett and Brock, and they're like, "Fuck, this was harder than racing." So it was pretty
Oh,
cool.
yeah.
It was pretty cool to see everybody though, and we were talking about that at the beginning of the show. It was nice to come hang out with you and your dad and everybody in the pits, and it was just really cool. Like, I know I'm not out there racing and having a good time with you guys on the track, but it still felt like we were all just buddies, you know?
Yeah, that's like the best part about it. It's almost like camping once a month with all your friends, and you get to race during the day too.
So he's saying the same exact thing without, I don't know if he was listening or not, but if he wasn't, he's truthfully saying the same thing that we just heard and we hear all the time. So it's real. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's
and even to go one step further, I heard his dad say that in the pits, like when I was pulling my bicycle up to like come hang out with him.
right.
He's like, "Oh, I love it, man," because
That's
it's like,
where I
I'm
got the
getting-
quote from.
Oh, you stole it from Pops?
Yeah, I took it from him.
Yeah, but you still mean it.
So one of the things that Myles was telling me is that his dad started making some parts for the RS1 and the Razors and stuff, and they have this. I don't know, how can you explain it, Myles? It's like a quick disconnect for the belt cover.
Yeah, it's I think it's a little L pin or something, and it just goes like right through where the bolts would go. Then he has a little kit for it. I think it's like $90 or something, and it sends you like a little reamer, the pins, and a little metal wire. Then like you pop rivet it into the side of the case.
Yeah.
But once you have it on there, it's literally 2 pins and it's off. It takes you no more than 2 seconds to pull the thing right back off.
Oh,
Put it
that's
back
awesome.
on.
I thought that
Nice.
was dialed though, 'cause
Yeah.
for guys on trails. But he was like suggesting that I buy one of those from him because for the UTV World Championship, just so I don't have to like sit there with the
Yeah,
wrench or
totally.
something. I could just pop it off and then switch it out real quick.
Especially when every second matters when you're trying to. I mean, okay, you're not racing, you're in the pits, but there's so many other things to be worrying about.
Yeah.
Why
Well,
not?
like driving?
Yeah, or cooking, or
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good for
being
the
a third grader.
No, like that thing's good for like the works guys or the best in the desert guys
Yeah, totally.
that still have like a little bit of a long race and they just got to change that belt out quick.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta get with you and your dad and see if I could buy one of those from you guys. Oh, Devin X just said it was RJ already on. No, RJ's gonna come on just after the commercial break. We're having some fun talking Lucas stuff right now, and we're gonna ask RJ some of the same questions. But man, it was really good seeing you and all the boys, and I really thought like when I saw you, one of the first things that I thought was, I've seen you a couple times at the races since then. My vision wasn't as good, but I started thinking about some of the battles that you and I have had before, coming through the years, maybe 2017-ish. The driving style that you have now, the racecraft that you have now, the technical ability that you have now, it's pretty impressive, dude, to see you growing up to be such a great driver, man. So you should give yourself a pat on the back.
Thank you. It really means a lot hearing that.
Yeah, it's cool, man. You should definitely do that. Do you ever see, like, when you watch film or video and stuff, do you ever see, like, oh, I could technically do this better, but, 2 years ago I didn't do it near as good?
Yeah. I'm pretty hard on myself when I go back and watch film, so I try not to too much. It's kind of easier for me if I just go, like, race to race and not watch too much of it. But when I do, it's I see like every little thing, and I usually remember it. So it's like on lap 4, my car did something this in this corner. Then like I'll be showing my dad from like what I told him back in at the pits right after. And it's like, oh, like you see, like it's like almost even hard to see sometimes, like just little stuff that the car does. So like we'll look at it back for like why did the car do this or same stuff. Like if I'm making mistakes, I'll go back and look at it.
Yeah, that's super cool, man. Well, your dad just chimed in on Facebook and said my kit is on the way. Well, dude, that's pretty badass. What?
Nice.
Talk about customer service.
Yeah. Hey, we talked about Amazon.
Yeah, that's true.
And here it is 30 seconds later.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard us, Miles. We were
Just
talking
kidding.
about like what we could do to
Thanks, Chuck.
yeah, thank you very much, Chuck. Like to get, we just got on Amazon Music. Like the podcast is out there, so people listen to it all quick. And Casey was like suggesting that we make more Dirt Life hats and have the drones drop them off. Your dad's already like,
oh, there you go.
Your dad's already getting on it, man.
Drone's on the way.
So,
oh yeah,
like I said, man, it was pretty impressive to see you drive. Like those YXZs have had you guys covered for a couple years now, and to see the amount of speed that you've gotten out of these Polaris cars and the driving ability that you have now to be able to put it on them like you did this weekend was impressive, dude. It really was.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just been like the last 2 years. It was so tough because they finally changed the weight rule this year, and it's really like you want to do the math, they have to add a little bit more still, but we won't talk about that. So like the last 2 years was crazy tough for us, and just getting the finishes that we did, like last year we didn't even get a win, but it was just so tough for us, and they finally changed a little thing for us, and it really hasn't made too much of a difference. Like my times and Brock's times are really only 0.2 apart when you look at them.
Well, yeah, and especially like when you talk about tracks, because there's tracks like this weekend, like your car did good, but like next weekend, his car could do way better. Like it's so even right now that it's like nobody should be complaining. Like it's really good the way it is.
Yeah, and then at Missouri, Brock has the track record there.
Yeah,
so he still has me by 0.2 there. So I think the weight rule right now is honestly perfect.
Yeah,
I really don't see a problem with it, but.
Well, and
we'll see what they end up doing.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, like you got your served up to the Yamaha served you up the last couple of years, so it was now it's nice that they have the rules. You know what I was thinking though is it would be cool if they did that with like to get some more like Honda guys in there, like the Cowie guys in there, like kind of even it out a little bit. I think it'd be pretty sweet if they could do that.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think the Hondas are a little bit overweight right now, too. They need to drop their weight down a little bit. Then once they do that, they'll be right there with us.
That would be super cool. Like have more of like a Chevy Ford Dodge battle kind of thing. Like it's always good to have that competition. But yeah, man. So we could talk about
get some more brands out there.
Oh, one of the things I was going to ask you, dude, like I wanted to put you on Front Street, like, and especially if Rhett Carpenter's listening, are you going to make it out to Texplex?
I hope to. I want to.
Dude, I'm saying if you like riding dirt bikes and you could just take that car right out of the Lucas trim and go over to their Texplex and rip, dude. You would love it.
It looks like a ton of fun, and their payout is it really makes you think twice about, or not think twice, but like it makes you want to go over there for sure.
Yeah.
And
but more importantly, can you cook?
And that track looks so badass.
Dude, I don't know if we
Tex-Mex,
want.
I can try.
I don't know if we want
course you
Myles
can.
switching it up.
Of course
dude.
you can.
The things that he was cooking like are off the chain, man. Super good. All right, homie. Well, we got to get RJ Anderson on the show right now, so we'll let you go. But thank you very much for inviting me into the campsite and having a good time with me this weekend. You guys did a great job, and thank you to your dad and the crew as well.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you again for having me on. Always a pleasure.
Yep, same here. Always a pleasure to chit chat with you and talk about food.
I know, right? I feel like I'm back at the races. All right, homie.
Oh yeah.
It's awesome to follow the development too, right? The young up and comer making it happen. That's exciting for me.
Yeah,
So,
well, following the development, like I had never actually seen him flipping the spatula, like turning wrenches. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'd never seen him cooking. And
in his element.
Yeah, so this time I got to see him in his
That's
element.
cool.
I was truly impressed.
Love
man.
it.
So,
Oh yeah.
good on you for kicking ass this weekend and whipping up some good food, bro. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, boys. Have a good one.
So yeah,
too.
you too.
Man, that was cool to talk with him and reminisce a little bit about the weekend. It's this whole dirt life everybody lives is this camaraderie. It just overwhelms everybody, right? It's so awesome. And thank you very much, Chuck. I really appreciate it, dude. You're an awesome human being for helping out with the RS program. CMI, it's the name of his company, and they make all kinds of cool stuff, man. They make hubs and spindles and everything. So
Nice.
thank you very much, dude. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. We're going to get RJ Anderson on the line. We will be right back.
Hello, I'm Justin, the founder of Shock Therapy. Shock Therapy has been around for 5 years, but we have personally been tuning suspension on off-road cars and race vehicles for over 25 years. We tune between 10 and 15 cars per day, every single day of the week. Our concentration is tuning shock systems and supplying components that improve the ride quality of your car in many ways. Not only do we work on the average UTV, but we also tune suspension for race teams and professional drivers. We currently tune for over 87 race teams in Best in Desert and Score. Our clients and race teams rely on our suspension components to allow them to win races and keep them safe. Suspension is a moving target, and we are always trying to hit that target with every customer that we work with. Each customer's needs can be different, and we tune our kits accordingly. Our research and development never stops. We improve our components every single day. As the industry evolves and improves, so do our parts and kits. As of right now, we have over 100 products for UTVs. So when you bring your car to us, you have the satisfaction of knowing that you have the most experience, the highest quality products, and the fact that your car is being tuned specifically to you.
Zollinger Racing builds the best aftermarket products available. Products for your UTV or snowmobile, including billet radius rods, billet tie rods, billet steering knuckles, billet steering racks, alternator kits, and much more. All manufactured in the United States in-house at their headquarters in Nibley, Utah. Travis Zollinger and his team test in some of the most brutal conditions, racing in places like the Best in the Desert Mint 400, Ultra 4 King of the Hammers, UTV World Championships, and many more. Visit ZollingerRacingProducts.com and use the code DIRTLIFE to get 10% off your next purchase, and join us on social media at Zollinger Racing Products to see our products in action.
Zollinger Racing, the best products, period.
Yeah, finally, we got Lance from Solderweld in the studio. Thanks for coming down, bud. Hey, why don't we just record a commercial now?
Yeah, why not? So good to be here, man. It's been a lot. I've been trying to get down here forever, and I wanted to talk about the off-road kit.
Dude, I love those things. I got it in my pack.
Yeah, we're running hundreds of vehicles now running them, whether it's a UTV or some guy's got it in a backpack on his motocross. He's got everything he needs to make a fix right there on the fly, out on the trail, or in the desert, whatever it is.
Well, since I've already used one, I kind of know what to use it for, but explain what it does.
All right, so let's pull one out real quick. You've got your aluminum rods. Remember, they're rods, right? So, light torch, small torch. You can throw it in there or throw it on the rig with your flux. It decontaminates and cleans, like let's say a radiator. You get a random rock chip runs through as you're racing. You get a rock chip in a radiator. You got to fix it right there, or you're out of the race.
You can patch it up instead of
patch it up. It's all good to go.
Yep, just like welding.
Yeah. Also, as well with that, you've got a brake line fix. So with your flux, you can fix a brake line, stainless steel. And then your hot block, heat absorption putty. So it keeps you from getting burned, number one, as well as keeps the heat from traveling. So it's really nice.
I've used this not even to fix anything, so that stuff works so good, man.
Listen, it's easy. It straps in nicely so that you have everything you need in one little place, and you don't have to carry a big bag in
It's
the
like a first
truck.
aid kit for your vehicle.
Yeah, chase trucks have it as well, so that if they need to make a fix on the fly, they can get it done and get it done quick and get you back in the race.
Dude, those things are so cool. All right, so it's at Solderweld on Instagram, Facebook, and solderweld.com.
Awesome.
All right, thanks, bud.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, we're back. Episode 57 of the Dirt Life Show. Again, thank you guys very much for joining us tonight. We hope you guys can interact with us and have some fun with us asking our featured guest. He's the, back-to-back champion of the Crandon World Cup. He's the star and crazy stunt driver of the XP1K videos. He's an off-road racing champion that has done so much, man. He's done so much for the UTV industry. He's helped it grow. He's done all kinds of stuff for Polaris, man. And he's even taught his brother a few things as well. His father, Randy Anderson, helps Walker Evans. And, RJ has just taken this thing and he has taken it to a whole new level with this racing. So thank you very much, RJ Anderson, for joining us. How's it going, bud?
Yeah, what's going on, guys? Good to be on the show. I had to follow up two pretty heavy hitters today. Myles after killing it all weekend, and then James just killing it in everything he does. So I definitely had a stacked lineup on the show today. So I got to pull my weight here.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. Both of them did pretty well. The questions weren't quite like you had a couple more questions for how to be smarter than a third grader, but. James Jaramillo, he pulled out the victory in that, and Myles actually pulled out the victory in his as well against Trevor. So how does it feel, first question of the night, how does it feel to have, like you had a good weekend at the Lucas Offroad races, but to come home with the cup of how to be smarter than a third grader against your brother? Like, I got to know, man.
Yeah,
top step.
That just shows his age. He should have been smart enough to stop while he was ahead, but he gave me the opportunity to make a come from behind. And those last two questions, I just got him. Yeah. So really, I gotta say, it's his lack of experience in the trivia field that he let me get those two extra questions.
He doubled up.
I pounced on him and was able to pull that lead out. There was a couple that actually stumped me. I was a little bummed. I didn't know I had no idea that we were given the Statue of Liberty from France, so I didn't know that one.
Dude, but RJ pulled it out though because Ronnie stumbled a little bit, and I said you can steal, and RJ just like raised his hand, stole it right away, man.
Nice, perfect.
Yeah, Ronnie wasn't very quick to the buzzer,
but he did get the whole shot.
He got to a strong first half lead.
I was a little scared for RJ at the beginning of it, but yeah, man, I thought it was pretty fun. So I don't know if you, it sounds like you listened to a little bit of the show before, but Caden Danbury, our buddy and friend of the show, he chimed in and said that he wants to do the Are You Smarter Than a Third Grader and make up some questions for the UTV World Championship. So we're going to miss you, and you're going to have to give up your gold championship belt for this UTV Worlds, and maybe you have to take it back in the next races.
So enjoy it while you can.
Yep.
Oh, I'll be happy to pass it down. I'm glad I had to battle only Ronnie. I would hate to have to go up against Caden or someone like that. So they'd really show my age.
Dude, there was two moms in the pits. Becky Lemming, and then I forgot what Jarrett Brooks' mom's name is, but both of them were freaking geniuses, man. They were knocking out these questions like nobody's business.
Dang, that doesn't sound good for me because they got a little bit of age on me, and I was already stumbling with the questions. So maybe it'll come back to me in my older years. So let's go with that.
You know what they don't have, or what they do have going for them, is the moms.
The geniuses?
The geniuses.
Yeah.
They haven't had their bells rung like we all have.
Dude, I'm not taking anything away from them
times.
because they started getting into it and they were like starting to like come back at me with questions and like next level stuff. And I was like, dude, I'm getting a little bit too flustered here. I'm going to go back down to my third grade level.
Stick to the cards.
Yeah. So, well, thank you very much for hanging out and letting us do that with you and your brother this weekend, man. So, before we talk about a little bit of your accolades and stuff, how was this weekend?
This weekend was awesome. It's cool that we're getting in our Lucas Oil races. You know, with everything that's been going on this year, there's, I think, a lot of uncertainty. And while there still kind of is, and things change on the fly, and all the parts and pieces of the series are just moving around, it's cool that we're still getting our races in. You know, we made commitments to our sponsors, obviously, before all of this started going down. So for Lucas to still honor all our rounds of racing has been awesome. It's taken some challenges, some changes, but we're just taking them in stride. Man, one of those changes was end of September in Phoenix or Chandler, Arizona, and man, that's a hot place to be. They did the best, you know, running us in the morning, but typically race there at night. So it was definitely a change with us racing right around noon in the Pro 2 race. Luckily, I come from Southern California, and I'm a little bit used to the heat, but it was just tough on the crew guys. You know, we're doing 3 rounds of racing. Typically, we only do 2. So 3 rounds of racing in the heat. It was definitely took a toll on the crew guys, but my guys killed it. Brought home 7 podiums out of 9 races, so that was awesome. Ronnie brought home 3 fast laps and swept in the Razor, so that was cool to see. We've been putting a ton of work into that car, so he crushed it all weekend. And yeah, it always helps when it's hot and the conditions aren't so ideal, but we were able to bring home some success, so that's always awesome.
Yeah, it is really cool, and they had so much hardware in the pits, like just all their trophies and stuff. But I gotta admit, like I failed because I didn't bring a gold belt for how to be smarter than a third grader. Like I should have had it, man.
That belt carries some weight. I mean,
it really does.
At least he only has to deal with it for a couple weeks.
I don't know. He's probably feeling the pressure. I bet you he got some calls this morning being like, dude, we can give you money if you keep this belt going.
You need like a plastic apple, like pass around a plastic apple.
There you go.
That's perfect.
Perfect.
I think we will continue this because so many people enjoyed it, man. But the problem is, though, is like once we start giving a little bit of value to it, we're going to have people start crushing us because I'm not going to be able to compete with how smart those moms were. There's absolutely no way. All right. Well, dude, you guys did really well, though, too. And some of the things that I was noticing, too, and this is before, like when I used to race, it was cool because I would get out there on the track. I'd be able to battle with everybody. I'd see everybody at staging and stuff. But I never really got to hang out and be a part of some of the inner workings of people's teams, right? And be able to see the vibes that people put out and be able to see the camaraderie with the teams and stuff. And now I'm able to do that. And you guys have a really professional but still laid back fun environment, man, and it's very similar to our buddy that Steve Westfall that runs the Rockstar Husqvarna team. And I was kind of putting it together in my head. You guys operate your program very similar where everybody is still able to have fun but be serious and professional.
Yeah, you know, that's kind of one of my goals is we obviously go there with a common goal in mind, and that's to do the very best we can. But as you know, in racing, it doesn't always work out your way. There's things that happen out of your control. There's part failures. There's, you know, off-road racing, anything can happen. And one of my main rules is we got to go out there and have fun. You know, life only wins if you let it. You know, that's always one of my mottos. So I have an awesome group of guys. A lot of them are volunteers, you know, who come out on the weekend, lend their time, help us. And for them to put in those hours and to do it to volunteer and just as friends is is insane. So it's one of those things, you got to keep the spirits up. You got to have fun. You got to enjoy your time while you're at the races, because another thing I always say is those plastic trophies that we earn end up just sitting on the shelf collecting dust someday. So the memories we're all making and those smarter than a fifth grader trivia quizzes are those things that really last a lifetime.
Yeah, exactly. I really like what he just said, though, too, is like life doesn't, you don't win at life unless you let it. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I always say that life only wins if you let it.
Yeah.
So we just try to keep it fun, and I get to go around, travel the world with my brother, and my family's there at most of the races as well. So really, it's a lot, as you know, a lot of hard work goes into off-road racing. I think it's everyone sees how much fun it is, but the workload is overwhelming at times, and to kind of compound that, I think you just always have to have fun.
Yeah, exactly. So there's two things that I want to say about that. And first of all, I think a lot of people should operate with that same mindset. There's been so many times, and you're probably guilty of it too, as I am. Okay, so you probably are too, is you get to the track and you're so focused, you forget to have fun. You forget to be buddies with your friends.
Yep.
And you really need to take a time and well, sounds stupid, but smell the roses, take a deep breath, enjoy what you're doing, right?
Totally.
And so for RJ saying that takes a lot to be able to give his crew and everybody that same mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, not that I'm old by any means, but it took me a few years. I'm 27 now. So,
old time
to realize
dang.
that, I started, I started running my team when I was 20. So it's basically 7 years ago now. And I mean, there was, weeks on end where we weren't leaving the shop before 10 p.m. at night. And it just ends up draining you, you end up not having fun, and you have those weekends where things don't go well, you break parts, you don't finish good, you don't bring home the results, and you just can stress yourself out beyond belief, and it's frustrating, and everyone works towards goals in life, and when you don't hit those goals, you always question why. But I think be able to keep it fun and always look at what's around the corner and what's still to come, it's that's kind of what gets you through those times.
Dude, that's 100% truth right there. That's one of the questions that I wanted to ask too was and can you read his comment that John that just commented in? But,
yeah, it's a good one. You want it right now?
Well, let me ask this question first, because it might have a little bit of relevance. So you've done a lot in your we're going to call it a young racing career, but you've raced for a few years now, and you've done a lot to help the side-by-side industry. You've grown social media stuff, and you've helped promote different brands. But the main question here is, how do you operate? You're an owner and a driver for one of the most successful race teams in off-road, and specifically short course racing. Not only does that take a lot of time, it takes a lot of brain power, it takes a lot of help. So what are the things that qualify to be able to make such a successful program, man? Because it doesn't seem to me like you would get very much sleep.
Yeah, there's times where you don't, and I would say the number one thing I've been able to do that's attributed to all my success is surrounding myself with the right people. Off-road racing, while people see me on the top of the podium and me on TV doing the interviews, it's 150% a team sport. Getting the trucks to the track. There's so many moving pieces, from the semi driver to awning setups to branding to social media to there's hundreds and thousands of moving pieces that go on to make a race weekend mesh and work. And I'm just one of those pieces, and my crew guys and the guys that help me out on the weekends and volunteer, and my family are the rest of those pieces. And I think that's what's attributed to my success, having those people that have believed in me even on those bad weekends and those times where you want to give up and say, is this worth it? And the people that lift you up and keep you going and are there for you at the 10 p.m. nights, the 1 a.m. drives in the morning. Those people that I've had in my life are the ones that I attribute my success to, because there's been times where I'm like, this isn't worth it, or I'm spending more than I'm making. I'm not having fun. I'm not achieving my goals, and it's looking at the bigger picture and never giving up. And that's what's gotten me to where I am for the most part today.
That's super cool. That's a driven individual right there. That's a true statement to say. And Casey always says this all the time. I mean, teamwork makes a dream work. you always have to surround yourself with good people, whether it's just one person that you can go complain to and they, raise you up, or whether it's a whole team. Like, it's just, you always have to have those people around.
Yeah, no doubt. In pretty much any industry, really, the leaders, that's what they do. They don't know everything, but they know how to put the right people, surround themselves with the right people who do. That's
we were even just talking about school teachers, like even then.
Yep, totally.
It's pretty crazy, but it's neat to see the success and things like that you've had. A couple of things that I wanted to bring up. Well, actually, before we bring up those questions, because they're more specific, you're a fan of Blink-182.
Yeah. I don't know if obviously you've seen my latest helmet, but since 2011, I've been sponsored by energy drinks. So first it was Monster Energy, and I was with them for 4 years, and then as of late, Rockstar Energy for 5 years. So I've been tied to energy drinks, and they're very particular about their branding on your helmet. That's part of the contract, whether you're an entry-level energy drink sponsor or a high-level energy drink sponsor. They're super particular about your helmet, and so as they should be if they're paying you to rep their brand. So I've had a black helmet with a logo on it for basically 9 or 10 years now, and with some of the changes that went on in my program, I'm not sponsored by an energy drink this year. And so I've always wanted to I haven't had creative freedom of my helmet, and that's one of those things that as a driver I always love. I see obviously your helmet's in the back. Anyone that's raced before knows that that's one of those expressions that you have as a driver, the vision and it's how you represent yourself. And so I want to do something different. I want to do something cool. I grew up in the 90s listening to Blink-182, and just one day I think I was just listening to it on the radio, and it hit me like, dude, it'd be so rad to do something like Blink-182 based. Like, so I just took some ideas from their album cover, meshed some different colors together, and my latest helmet that I just debuted in Crandon it's kind of a Blink-182 tribute helmet. So something I want to do different, something that represented me, who I am, what I like, and I'm just stoked that I got to do it.
That's killer, man. I think that's super cool. And plus, like, having that creative freedom is neat. Before I give my comment back to that, Chris Lemming said, it was awesome to see everyone this weekend, and thank you very much to the RJ team for letting our kids work on the Pro 2. And there were some other kids that they got T-shirts and stuff, so RJ gave them it. But you should have seen the kids in those pits over there on the side towards the freeway. They were all, RJ is the best person now on the planet, because they were all running around. I just worked on RJ's car. I just got to do this. We got to wash it. And I think he gave him some fenders and stuff like that, too. So that was really neat of you to be able to do that, man, to give back to the kids.
Yeah, that stuff goes a long ways. I remember going to the races as a kid. I grew up going to off-road races with my dad, and even just later in life as a fan. And I remember going to one of my very first core races. It might have been the first core race I ever went to. I don't remember the year, but I think it was around 2005, 2006. And Jeremy McGrath was outside his pit. I grew up watching Jeremy McGrath on TV my whole life. And he was outside his pit, and I think he had a bad race. He got in a crash or something, and he was outside. He had the hugest line, and he was outside signing autographs for as long as it took. And I remember talking to him, and he took the time to talk to me for a couple minutes. And then I just remember that as a kid, going up, seeing Jeremy on TV, meeting him in person, being like, this dude is legit, and the truth is, the kids are the future of our sport. Those kids are the ones that 100%. We want to, in 10 years, lead this generation of off-roads. So, I love hanging out with them. It gives me, youthful energy, seeing the kids' energy and how stoked they are just to come scrape mud. They're doing the jobs that no one wants to do, and they are just absolutely pumped on it, So those are the things that drive me and make it fun at the races, That's the things I look forward to.
Dude, and they loved it so much, man. And yeah, speaking of MC, so I don't know if you see this helmet sitting here, but this is Yamaha colors. I drove a Yamaha, but this is a MC themed helmet. I copied his exact design from one of his racing years that Troy Lee did some of his work. So I'm a huge fan of him as well. So speaking of being a fanboy, you like Blink-182, and I did as well when I was growing up and going to college and stuff. And little fun fact, I got my computer science degree after getting hurt on dirt bike, and I moved out to Southern California. I started working for a company called Spy Optic. They make sunglasses and stuff. And then as I kind of grew in my computer career, I knew the guys from Blink-182, Mark and Tom, and they ended up buying my company from me, and I was the president of one of their companies. So I know Mark and Tom very well.
Oh, no way. That's a really rad story.
Yeah. So they made me they made me the president.
Maybe you'll have to put me in.
Go ahead.
You'll have to put me in contact. I want to retire that helmet at the end of the year and maybe have some of the guys from the band sign it. Just put it up on my shelf. So maybe if you could help facilitate that, that'd be rad.
Yeah, that would be super cool. Get those guys to actually autograph it, and then you could just hang it up. But yeah, so it's it kind of goes full circle though, and it goes exactly to what you were saying. Like when you live life, you're humble and you learn to let things flow, and just you really just live life and be a good person. I did my college research paper on a company called loserkids.com without any idea knowing of what company it was. Like I thought it was cool. Blink-182 owned it, and it was like Pacific Sun where they sell clothes and stuff. And so I did my college research paper on that. And when they bought my company from me, they made me the president of loserkids.com.
No way.
Yeah, like how crazy is that? Like 5 years later, I was like, holy shit, this is insane cool.
That is super cool. Yeah, that just goes to show when you put your head down and crazy things could happen.
Well, more than that, you never know who's watching.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? Like those little kids, like you said, it's awesome. They were part of something. Like to them, they were way part of something. Like they literally did part of the race prep for the next track outing. That was so huge for them, I'm sure.
Well, R.J. Anderson is their best friend at school now.
100.
Dude,
right. Yeah, well, I hung out with him all weekend. And so cool.
I do think that's really cool. And the same thing I felt when I was, going into business with these guys, those kids are feeling now, and they're able to use that same momentum to go into it. So
totally,
it's pretty cool, man. It seems like it's crazy to see all these things come to fruition for everybody. So I think it's pretty neat. When you talk about how you operate your race program, there's Excel spreadsheets for days, there's stickers, there's mechanics, there's all this stuff, right? What's the one thing that you enjoy most other than being on the track?
Oh man, I'd say the one thing I enjoy the most is watching my brother succeed. I was able to build an off-road team and do it with my family, and now watching my brother. When I very first started racing, my brother wasn't even really interested in doing it.
Really?
So we just kind of, he wasn't really, and so we just kind of let him do his thing, and then he started to show interest in it. Let him do his thing, and then when he got involved, it was rad. He kind of did it just for fun at first, and now obviously he's super competitive. And now that he's grown up, he's 100% driven and focused. But I would say that's my favorite thing for me, is I get to travel around and watching him succeed. I get way more nervous watching him race than I do my own race. I know when I'm in control and what happens out on the track. But when I watch him race, I'm like nervous, like, oh no, what if something breaks right now? It's kind of funny. So I would say that's what I enjoy the most.
That is pretty cool, though, man. Again, it goes back to that camaraderie thing. But I can agree with what he's saying, though, because I enjoyed, I used to battle against Ronnie in the UTV class, right? But now, being able to see him in the turbo class, the dude's skill level has just, skyrocketed in the last couple years. He is ripping. With the speeds that he was going in the UTV class, and he did awesome in Pro Light, too, but in the turbo UTV class this weekend was phenomenal. Him and Myles totally impressed me this weekend.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, Myles. I've been watching Myles since he was a kid, and Myles definitely has a lot of talent as well. So it was awesome to see those two guys. Some of the definitely younger guys of their classes. So it's cool to see them pulling their weight and putting on a clinic out there.
Oh, real question though, real talk. Can Ronnie cook as good as Myles?
No, absolutely not. Ronnie can throw some. Ronnie can throw some pizza rolls in the microwave and maybe not overcook them, but Myles gets absolutely down. You should try his fried rice he makes. I don't think I've had something bad that Myles has cooked. He gets down on the grill.
Dude, I was so busy filming and stuff at the races. He was cooking. It smelled so good. I was like, damn it. Why do I got to go over to that? I got to stay.
Myles has some serious skills behind anything that he's cooking. He gets down for sure.
Yeah, so Becky Lemming just chimed in and said that was her kids that were tuning up the trucks for you, getting them all prepped up, so that's awesome.
Nice.
What was John's comment, Casey?
Oh, he had a good one. So a little flashback back to, the crew and stuff. He said being able to be in a NASCAR and Indy garage and pits is really cool. And he said people have no idea how much the crew guys bust their butt.
Oh, my God, dude. Yeah. Like, the driving part is the easy part. Those guys are working 24/7. And that's why I asked RJ, because I know he puts in the work during the week.
For sure.
But, man, dude, the crew guys are just on point all the time, man.
Again, it's that behind-the-scenes stuff that nobody sees. And I think the people that are in the industry appreciate it and realize it. But I think your standard average fan is just like, hey, cool, you sit down and drive right on.
Well, I think you look at it two ways, though, because there's some teams that don't put that effort in, but they're not the winning teams, right?
Very true.
So we actually asked Wayne Matlock the same question, and he's like, dude, it's 100%, or you said it, the 2 a.m. wrench sessions or the 4 a.m.
Those are the ones that bring the titles, yep.
I mean, how many times have you been at the track and lost a motor, and your crew guys are like, oh, shit, well, we're going to eat some sandwiches tonight and keep busting ass.
Right.
Yeah, the very first race of the year, actually, which is not how you want to start a season. When you have hopes and dreams of winning the championship, in the very first round, popped a motor, put a hole in the radiator, popped a motor. So they had to not only change the radiator out, but the whole entire engine. And I don't think my guys, I think they finished the motor swap up at about 3 a.m. And we started qualifying at 8 a.m. the next day. So. The amount of work they put in, and there's so many jobs that just absolutely suck, like mounting fiberglass, and when I get back from a practice session, we only have an hour till our next session, and they got to change underdrive gears, and the underdrive is like 250 degrees, and they're trying to wrestle it, and there's just, we're in a dirty environment, they're laying in the mud, and half the time their shirts aren't even the color they started out, and they just never give up and never complain. So definitely would be nothing without the crew guys. People in off-road are some of the hardest working good people that there is, for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. We all want to live our dirt life, right?
Mm-hmm. They also know that at the end, if it goes well, there's a beer and a steak.
And if they're Myles, there's some gourmet meal over there, huh?
Yeah, he's spoiling everybody, it sounds like.
So one of the things that we kind of just brushed upon a little bit, you said that you guys have been working on your brother's car a little bit for the turbo class. So it's a Polaris RZR Turbo S, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it started life as a just bone stock Turbo S, and we actually use a lot of Turbo S components on that car still. All the A-arms, spindles, rear trailing arms, so many parts of that car are actually still just stock factory stuff, because the Turbo S is a strong, really well built car. And it's crazy because I've been racing RZRs for 12 years now, and that's the most stock parts we've ever actually used, probably on a full-on race car. So, it's got a lot of stock parts, but yeah, it's just, we don't come from turbocharged world, We've grown up, all of our basically things I've raced my whole life are naturally aspirated. So that turbo car he's racing is one of the first things that we've dealt with turbocharger, and there's just so many things between sensors and so many things in a system, that make that thing tick. And we've kind of been getting our butts kicked by it all year long. And, we took his car out to Crandon, and it showed up. We had 7 days from the time it showed up from Crandon to the time we left for Arizona. And the guys worked on it every single day, full drivetrain swap. We worked our butts off, and I'm glad the work paid off, because it was kind of a gamble, and we finally got that thing going the right direction. So my guys killed it. The engineers at Polaris have been helping us out. It takes a team, it takes an army. Brett from RZR has been, just blasting emails, getting us connected to the right guys to help us troubleshoot. And, you see Ronnie doing good, but if you knew the chains of emails, the phone calls, the parts list, the trial, all the failures, everything that's happened up to it, it's been a long road.
The wonders of operating your own race team. So there's two things that I wanted to ask, because I have a specific question for this topic. But before I do that, to preface it, almost all of the stuff that we have in the production vehicles that sit on a dealership floor is because of those emails and him getting on track, and because of those engineers, and because of all of that hard work.
No doubt.
And the back and forth of all of these smart, qualified people to be able to make those things happen. So the development of any of those vehicles really, comes back full circle. It's pretty awesome, man.
Right. Yep.
So that kind of leads me to my next question is, what do you think right now of the state or the side-by-side industry now? Like, it's pretty sweet, dude.
It's honestly insane. I think as you saw in Arizona, there was two different lines. So the UTVs took an inside line coming out of 2, and we took an outside line. Not much time difference, really. It's just probably about the same length track. I would be really interested to see if we ran the same track, because I would almost put money that Ronnie was running top 3 Pro 2 lap times, and that's just insane. We have Pro 2s that we've been developing for 15 years, with 35-inch tall tires, 700 horsepower, and now production-based vehicles that you could buy from a showroom floor are running almost identical lap times. It's insane to think, and I laugh, because I've been around the industry for over 10 years now, and people complain about the price of a UTV, and I just look at them in the face and laugh, and I'm like, so you want to buy a 4-wheel drive 500 horsepower UTV for $20,000, huh?
Yeah.
and like you're saying, people just don't understand the work and the time and the amount of engineers that work at Polaris and the hours and what all goes into making those vehicles tick. And a Razor was just born 12 years ago, so for what they built 12 years ago and what you could buy from a showroom floor now is absolutely insane. It's like if you look at motocross and you're into dirt bikes, Kawasaki doesn't come out with a brand new state-of-the-art 450 every single year. There's small things that they fine-tune. So sorry about that, Nick.
That's all right. Dad, he's having a party.
I got one of those Ring doorbells, so anytime he hears it kind of go off, he thinks that someone's here to hang out with him. So
Dude, well, I got a trick for that, actually. So save your thought for the side-by-side industry. So you can change the tone of your doorbell speaker. I went to Home Depot and just bought it, and now it just goes like doodle-doo, and it doesn't bother the dog at all.
No way.
Yeah.
That is a tech tip, because literally anytime he hears it go off, he just goes crazy. He thinks someone's here. He goes to the door.
You got to see if you could switch it up. So make it like a Blink-182 song.
Yeah, anytime he hears Blink-182, he just goes berserk.
He's doing that whole...
Hopefully he won't remember and he won't put 2 and 2 together. I was able to trick the dog, so maybe you can too.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we'll see. I got high hopes for it. So
I really do, honestly, man. When I think of the level of the side-by-side industry now, and I think I knew where you were going with what you're saying about Kawasaki, is that almost all of the Japanese manufacturers, and I don't mean this to say good or bad things about any manufacturer, but Polaris innovates on a very, very quick level. Some of the other manufacturers, like Yamaha, for instance, haven't come out with anything new for their vehicles except for bold new graphics since 2015, the end of 2015, early 2016. Honda just came out with their vehicle, and they won't come out with a new one for a while either. So the innovation that RJ is talking about in the industry comes from these engineers, the race teams, and all of the effort that they're putting back into it. And for Polaris to be, and I'm not, boasting Polaris here, but for Polaris to be able to follow that trend and move so quickly is phenomenal in any manufacturing. Doesn't matter what you do, automobiles, sports, side-by-side powers, anything.
Well, it goes even deeper than that, because there's so many pieces to the company. So on a corporate level, go to those other companies. That's the marketing plan. That's also the budget plan. Right. So that has to run its course, where they're budgeting for that also. So again, it just shows the commitment to the racing and the industry.
And the people that are involved.
Yeah, absolutely.
I actually am wearing an SMG shirt today. So he was one. Craig Scanlon was one guy that was on the forefront of that. But I couldn't agree more with if you didn't have that level of innovation, we wouldn't be where we are today.
Right.
With all of the different Can-Am or Textron, all of these different companies, they wouldn't be there unless those guys started that at the initial phase, like RJ said 12 years ago.
It's cool that it's it's that old game with the bat, right?
Oh, when you put
you just
put
keep
your hands
going
on top of each other.
And they're coming out swinging every year. Where the big one comes for the other guys, it comes like you said, every 3 or every 5 or whatever
they decide.
Yeah. So imagine if that's your business model and you just keep getting jabbed every year. Like, what if they do what you're getting ready to debut?
Oh yeah,
like
that's
look at the Ford with the Bronco.
Yep.
And all of a sudden Jeep's like, oh crap, we got to do something. Let's put the engine that all the guys are already putting in it. That's so funny to me. That's one of those little jabs. Like, yeah, whatever.
Well, the moral of this story is, like, I can go down to a dealership now and not be the racer guy, but I can get the baddest shit. Like, I can get the awesomest thing. It's super cool.
I like his point to they're expensive, like you said. It's literally a race car. Like, if you want the golf cart, go buy the John Deere Gator.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You don't have to get the race car. You can get the John Deere Gator.
Dude, one of my favorite vehicles, though, still is the, I'm going to call it four-door because I'd like to enclose the cab, but the Polaris Ranger. Like, dude, because you can just cruise
that is pretty cool.
So hard.
Yeah, AC, heat, you be dialed in.
That's where I'm going with it, dude. Exactly.
Wait till that becomes the.
And now that RJ got to experience this fucking Arizona heat, he knows where I'm going with this thing, dude.
Wait till that becomes the pre-runner.
Straight to the grocery store.
Yeah, totally.
Yep. Well, in Arizona we can. I used to take the YXZ or the Polaris to the grocery store all the time, man.
Yeah, that's so rad. You could barely wash one in your driveway in California.
I know people get.
Well, it's because it causes cancer. My bad.
Oh, you shouldn't have said that, Case. You're going to get all kinds of hate mail.
Yeah, I'm sure. You don't think that's real? Okay.
I really do think it's cool, the current state of the UTV industry. And it's not just goes to, like, the manufacturers and stuff. I think, like, all of these different people, like, you're a Holes representative, so all of the guys at the Holes that are making super cool products now, like, everybody's just stepping up their game because the innovation is getting so good. Like, Craig let me borrow his RS1 to race at the UTV World Championships, and we're doing a little build on it. And I haven't really built a car since late 2018, so it's been a year and a half. But just in that year and a half span, the accessories that I got, like from a company called Zollinger Racing Products, were built 10 times better than what they were that quick ago. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it's insane. And Craig was 100% one of those people that helped drive the industry to what it is today. You know, his vision and his hard work were insane. And that goes not just for Polaris, the company itself, but for all of UTVs, because he's raised the bar and gotten it to where it was. And other companies had to do the same thing, you know. And that's what people all the time ask me about other manufacturers. And I'm like, you know, I'm Team Razor till the day I die, but it's awesome to see other companies bring competition, you know, it helps everyone. The competition, as you were saying earlier, you know, drives the demand, the supply, and it makes us, like, as race car drivers, more useful, you know, to help, you know, show what their product's capable of. So it's awesome to see how competitive UTV racing has got. More manufacturers are getting involved. I think it's cool. And I can't even imagine where UTVs will be in 10 years because the last 10 years have been absolutely insane. So where it's going is it's taking over off-road.
It really is, man. On that same...
There's haters, you know. I always joke that 5 or 6 years ago, people would call me the golf cart kid. You know, I was racing trucks, but I was still doing Razor stuff, and they would call me the golf cart kid. And now those same people call me asking them if I can get them a deal. So I always make that shit.
So one of our buddies, actually Jeff Furrier, that I just mentioned, that was helping me with the seat and stuff, he just picked up a Razor, and he told me, like, point blank, he's like, I kind of thought it was a fad. And he's been an off-road guy for his whole life, you know what I mean?
Forever,
so
right.
It's pretty cool to see that. What was one of the, I don't know, most memorable UTV races that you've ever had? Like, do you remember one, like, off the top of your head?
Man, one of my favorite ones was the Saboba GP. Did you ever go to any of the Saboba GP races?
No, what is that?
Dude, it was these epic races. Really, it was a run what you brung. It was on an Indian reservation, basically just outside of Hemet, in Hemet, California. Saboba Indian tribe. They did probably 3 of them. And it was back in that same 2008, 2009, 2010 era, back when UTVs were just booming. You know, people were juicing out their Rhinos. The Razor had just come out. Can-Am, I think, had just come out with something. There's the Kawasaki. So it was just at the forefront of the UTV boom. And basically, it was like a GP-style race where it was, I think, maybe 6 or 7 mile loops, and it was a 2-hour race. Land rush start, kind of just a free-for-all. Run what you brung. Tech doesn't really exist, and it was just kind of a fun race, you know. And it was kind of one of those forefront events that was big right at the time, and They ended up dying off and only lasted probably 3 years, but they put up a good purse. I think it was 10 grand to win or something,
Whoa.
if I remember right. So, yeah, it was my very first UTV race ever. So that's maybe one reason it resonates with me so well. Very first year, I did an absolute mud bog. I took my brand new shiny car, absolutely destroyed it. The Funko guys won, and I actually ended up second. So then the next year I came back, rolled my car down a cliff, didn't end up finishing, and then the third year I was able to win it. So that was maybe one of my most memorable Razor wins.
Dude, that's pretty cool. And plus, it's like when you think about it, like right there on the crest of like just coming out is pretty sick too.
Definitely, and it's up on the shelf right next to the third grader belt.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. Well, we know that. I mean, it's pretty much just known between the people that are having this conversation. Well, and Ronnie now too, his brother. But there's nothing that trumps that. I mean, that third, it's the best trophy, right?
It's quite a lofty goal for everyone.
To be honest, I'm not even sure Saboba gave trophies. They just gave the money, so they're right there with your fake apple. People are gonna remember. People are gonna remember it whether you give the trophy or not.
Perfect.
Yeah, that is perfect. I just think that's so cool, man. Like to be able to understand where the UTVs came from and stuff too. And we talk about, Casey and I talk about it all the time on the show because like the show is mostly about UTVs. We talk off-roading and all that stuff, but I guess 90% of it is about UTVs. And when we were growing up, like dirt bikes and stuff, like even when UTVs started coming out, like you were saying, like the Polaris 800 and the Rhino and stuff, like I was like, nah, dude, that's not the cool guy. Like I got to get a dirt bike still. Like I got to keep the cool guy. And then now UTVs are the cool guy. Like
well, they look legit.
Yeah.
Like it's not like, I mean, we had some of those Rangers, those first on the job site. It's still like, just a pumped up version of that. But like these are freaking race cars.
Did you see the intro? I put a picture of one of the Razors that RJ built on the intro. It was I don't know what it's called. It's a XP or something like that, but it's red and it was by Holes, and it's a 2-seater that you built. It's the newer one, whatever the newer one. Dude, that thing looks sick.
Yeah, and it's mostly stock. It's got like a roll cage, some tires and wheels. It's nothing crazy. It comes with a stereo now. It's insane what they've come to. It's really insane what the technology has come to these days. So yeah, I mean, I grew up riding dirt bikes. That's what I did as a kid. And they'll always have a place in my heart. It's there's
Do you want
still
to ask
only
him the question
something.
we ask everybody, Case, since he grew up riding dirt bikes? What was his first one?
Was there a PW50 involved in this experiment?
Yeah, it was a Zinger. They were called the Zinger 50.
Yes.
Perfect. That
was my very first. It was pink.
There's been many careers launched from the PW50.
That's good. At least RJ and I just became best friends because he likes colored pink too. Hey, so your cousin, actually your aunt, Shelby said that she had a PW52, but Mom was not having that. She wanted to get rid of that thing right away.
And we thought she buried it, maybe. Remember?
Yeah, she hid it from her.
Yeah. I'm sure she saw all the shenanigans that the rest of the family had already gotten into at that point. So she was hoping, with a daughter that she was going to stay clear, but I don't think that worked out.
It's pretty funny to hear those stories because it was kind of like that. Remember, she was like, "Yeah, RJ and Ronnie were riding dirt bikes, so I wanted to." Then Mom wouldn't let me. Oh man, that's cool. But actually, there's I guess this is a 2-part question. But what kind of stuff do you enjoy outside of racing? I know it basically consumes all your life and your time, but I saw a C10 being built, I think. Like, what kind of other stuff do you do?
That's my baby. I almost don't even like talking about it until it's done. So
because you're working on it still?
Yeah, I'm building a 66 C10. It went from probably how like most hot rod projects all start. It went from taking an old school truck. I had an old LS1 motor out of a ProLite just sitting around. I wanted to just put it in there, put some tires and wheels on it, and call it a day. I almost use it as like a shop truck. Now it's went to a 800 horsepower, one of my old Pro 2 motors, full Motec, 4L80.
Really?
Oh yeah, 9-inch rear end housing in it. it's gotten way out of control. You'll have to check it out. It's on Instagram. It's at the RJ66. So it's a 66 Chevy C10, and I call it the RJ66. It's the build in progress. We'll hopefully finish it up this off season. But man, I've always wanted an old school Chevy truck. So my dad actually got me.
That's
got me
badass,
the truck.
though.
Yeah, it's not just a stock truck with the LS1 bolted in it. We got a little carried away.
The RJ66. All right, I'm following you right now, dude. I'm gonna stock this C10 project. It looks pretty sweet, Case. Check that bad boy out, man.
Yeah, it does.
So for anybody that doesn't know what a C10
Love
is,
it.
it's an old '66 Chevy. It's like my dad really he was a huge fan of this. Actually, he might still be mad at me because he had a fleet side one too, and it has a short bed and all that. I think his was a 67 though, all white. It just had the stock motor. It didn't have really anything good. I think Pack Rats might have got to it a little bit, but I drove it down the road. It just started on fire. Sorry, Dad.
Sorry, Dad.
Yeah. That's my bad. So
Can it be orange? Would you do that for me?
What? Yeah. What are you gonna do? How are you gonna make it look? Like, is it gonna be all rotted out, or like, what's the?
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave that patina rust. Actually, we got to fix some of the
that's cool
fenders
too.
and stuff that aren't gonna hold up really to the road abuse now. 50 years later, but we're just gonna clear it basically. One of my buddies, Little Michael's Customs, has a paint shop. He's just gonna do a clear. He's got a, in the dash we fit the Motec in there, and so he's got to do some touch up work to kind of match the old patina rust look. But I'm basically just gonna leave it that color, kind of run it.
It's pretty
run
sick,
it as
right?
is.
I agree, actually. Like, how about that? Who has the old school? I think it's a rendition. Is it Walker Evans' truck?
Yeah.
Oh, yep.
You know what I'm talking about? But I think they put a lot into it to make it look that way. Or maybe I'm off my rocker on that one. But it's super cool.
That's all airbrush.
Okay, it is.
Insane.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It totally is. When you
Who
first see
painted
it.
that?
Go ahead.
A kid in Crandon, Wisconsin. Rocky Alstein is his name, and absolutely insane the airbrush work he did. People think it's wrapped, but it's pretty insane how much detail he put into the paint job on that truck.
Did you want to, since he started talking about Crandon, did you want to ask him your question?
Well, I was trying to figure out how we were going to get there, but yeah, it was definitely the I don't even remember how to say it. Help me out.
The Crandolina wine
Crandolina,
mixer.
darn it. Yeah, absolutely.
So I sent Casey a video of you doing talking about Crandon and stuff like that so he could understand a little bit more about you. And the thing, he walks into the studio today, he goes, yeah, the Crandolina wine mixer. So obviously you hooked him in with that.
Well, it's funny. I've been trying to figure out this whole time how we're going to work this in, and then random airbrush kid number 9 happens to be from
The Crandolina wine mixer.
So you caught me off guard. I'm off my game.
So how was the Crandolina wine mixer, man? Obviously, like we saw on social media that you are back-to-back Crandon World Cup champion, but it looked like the races were insane cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's one reason we call it the Crandolina wine mixer. Is it's just there's no place like it. From the fans to the town to the racetrack to it's just one of a kind. And I mean, it's been around for 51 years now. So
I've never been, and Casey's never been. So how would you relate it in motocross terms, like a Red Bud National kind of thing?
Red Bud, exactly the Red Bud. The fans are there. There's anywhere from, I mean, you hear all kinds of numbers. I would say anywhere from 20 to 40,000 people packed on this hillside.
It's awesome.
Yeah, no bleachers. They have the little bit of a bleacher section, but the fans aren't there to sit in the bleachers. They're bringing their lawn chair. They're sitting on the hill. They're drinking warm Miller Lite all day long and cheese curds. And they are
Cheese curds, perfect.
they're just pumped. They live for the racing. They come in and buy shirts. They buy their year's supply of shirts from the racers, and they'll come back the next year and do the same thing. They absolutely live for it. They'll bring up stuff I put on my YouTube from 2 years ago. I mean, they are just deep fans of short course off-road racing. I think the town of Crandon is like maybe 1,500 people, probably less. I don't even know, but it's a small town, middle of Wisconsin. And these races just take over Labor Day weekend. and they do a parade. You absolutely have to go. It's just one of those races that you got to put on your to-do list and go and check it out, because it's hard to put into words. I mean, the things you see out there, the school buses turned into motorhomes that people are camping in.
Oh, they have a guy that goes to the parade that has a Fred Flintstone kind of looking car. It's got like wooden wheels that are all oblong.
Perfect.
Yeah, like it's super cool. I would definitely want to go one of these years. For our audience, though, will you tell us how it is to go 100 miles an hour into the first turn and like what the rest of the track is?
Yeah, the way to describe it is if anyone's on iRacing, I just got a chance to drive Crandon on iRacing the other day. That's about how it feels. I mean, you go in there blind because it's an off-camber turn 1, and it's motocross style start, so we land rush into turn 1. 10 up to 15 cars wide, and if there's more than that, they'll start 2 rows, 3 rows deep. And in a Pro 4, it's gnarly. I mean, we're full on 8,000 RPM clutch drop to that first turn. So it's wild getting there.
That's crazy.
We're about 90 miles an hour going into that turn. Full committed, and you actually have to set the truck kind of before you can see the turn, because it's a little bit of a downhill off-camber right-hand turn. And that's right where the fans are, so it's badass. We come basically right into where everyone's watching, so it's a land rush start right into their field of view, and the track's 1.6 miles long. It's a lot faster, flowier, sweeping turns. I mean, I think my top speed there was not this year, but last year. I think I was 111 miles an hour down the back straightaway.
Holy smokes, dude!
So awesome.
Yeah. So just absolutely insane how fast that track is. So yeah, and there's just nothing like it. I mean, the passing, the racing, it's one of a kind for sure.
Yeah, we all know that there's nothing like the Crandon wine mixer.
It's like the event has its own personality. Like
it kind of
all the
seems
stuff
like
he's
what
talking
he's saying,
about.
it
Yeah,
really
that's
does, right?
So cool.
So
and that's why there's such a draw, because you totally painted the picture that was perfect. I can be that, the guy with his kids and wife and whatever, with the blanket on the ground and the warm Miller Lite or whatever it was, and having those trucks come at you 90 miles an hour, like from nowhere.
Dude, I would probably take my shirt off, like dude.
Swinging it around.
That's welcome. You're allowed to do
Yeah,
that.
that's awesome. It sounds awesome.
So
even wilder, Kid Rock was there last year. Kid
No
Rock performed there.
There you go.
That is wild. I'm surprised we didn't. Like, maybe I should make a Kid Rock helmet for my next one.
Yeah, you need to.
If I go to Crandon Wine Mixer, I'm definitely bringing a Kid Rock helmet. So how is it different? Well, we all like racing short course. Lucas does an awesome job, but coming from motocross, like all three of us can say that a flowy track is always the best, right? Like, so point, shoot, turn is not always the funnest, right? So how does it differ from WIldhorse Pass or Glen Helen to be able to go out to like a place like Crandon?
Oh man, totally two different tracks. I would say Arizona's a supercross track, and Crandon's a big outdoor national. Just totally two different driving styles. I mean, Crandon, you're literally throwing it into corners at 85 miles an hour, downshifting, then back upshifting while you're still in the same corner. I don't even think that we hit 90 miles. We probably only got to 70 miles an hour on the whole Arizona track. So Arizona, very tight, very technical, working on setup, trying to get those little tents. Crandon is almost working on your lines and chasing the cushion, because the track's so flowy that it starts getting hard packed, and you kind of chase that cushion in Crandon, where you follow the traction line out as the race develops. So just two totally different styles. I would say Arizona is like a supercross type track, technical, tight, a lot of carnage. Crandon's a big, open, flowy, using your momentum, chasing the traction.
Dude, I would love to have one of those things. Oh, we just asked James Jaramillo on earlier in the show about like GPS and having to be able to understand how many G's you pull. Do you have anything that tracks that in the Pro 4, like around Crandon? Have you ever looked at how many G's you pull around the track?
Yeah, we do. Actually, in the Pro 2, we kind of try to use it sometimes for traction numbers. We can tell.
Cool.
I was waiting for that.
In the corner.
I love it.
Yeah, you could tell, like, if you're pulling 1 G in the corner, or if you're pulling half of a G in a corner, you could tell when you're pulling 1 G, you're hooked up, you're getting a lot better traction. Whereas we don't have wheel speed sensors, because traction control is not legal in what we do. So it's kind of just a guess, and hoping that you didn't just happen to get the corner in right. And we don't 100% rely on it, but you can actually use it as a tool. Most of the time when we look at the G load sensor is when we crash, just to see what our high score is.
That's the second time we heard that.
Yeah, just to see how scrambled your brain's going to be.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like
last
it looks
year,
like RJ's going to need about 2 more hours of sleep tonight.
Yep. I think my record is only like 6.8 Gs. So.
Wow, that's still a lot though, man, and especially when it's like a sharp impact, that sucks.
Yeah. So it is. Yeah, we do have them in our truck. So it's cool. The data we have is pretty insane.
What's one of the worst crashes that you've ever been in?
Oh, well, I got an award for one time.
Are you serious? Is that a thing?
Yeah, crash of the year. Actually, it was 100% my fault, but me and Casey Curry crashed in the Challenge Cup 2012 at that same track that in Arizona. We were going the other direction at the time. But
that was the first short course race that I've ever been to. I remember that.
Yep. So totally my fault. I basically going into what was the last turn at this track was our first turn before, and my spotter told me I was clear. I moved over in the air on the jump, wasn't clear, clipped the front of Casey, and we both barrel rolled down the front straightaway. So we were actually both sponsored by Monster at the time, and Monster Energy did a video on it, but not my best move. I took him out as well as myself. But yeah, we got a trophy, best crash of the year.
That's freaking nuts, man. Well, one thing that I want to ask about that, because obviously RJ is a humble and he's always thinking about other people when he's in the pits and stuff. What's the, like, if you could give racers, Casey always says, never throw your helmet. Never, ever throw your helmet, no matter how pissed you are. Clearly, that was a mistake that you made. You just admitted it. So what would be a good, if you just made that mistake right now to another racer, what would be your game plan to repair that, or to what would you be doing?
Yeah, I mean, I always own up to it. You know, I didn't. I was told my bad. You know, at the end of the day, we're all human. You know, I've been taken out before. And you know those racers always. You know the ones that honestly made a mistake, and you know those racers that are like that time and time again, and are just doing it because it's how they drive. You know, so I always judge my surroundings by that. But at the end of the day, we're all human. We're all going after the same goal, and it's to win races. Sometimes contact's inevitable. It's part of our sport. And if people are getting mad about it, I think they need to probably change sports, you know? But I don't get too bent out of shape about contact. Yeah, it sucks when it could be avoided, and it costs you a lot of money, and it's dangerous, you know, because our trucks catch on fire and there's all kinds of, you know, repercussions. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I always just try to own up to my mistakes. Never be too big of a person to say you were wrong, you know? Because at the end of the day, you got to line up and race that guy the next day or that next year. So if they're holding a grudge against you and you could have just went up and said, hey, my bad, I messed up, and you don't do that, then they are like, well, screw RJ, I'm taking him out, you know? So
yeah, exactly.
I've made mistakes. I've done, you know, in the heat of the moment, adrenaline takes over sometimes. But yeah, you gotta always remember that those guys are going after the same goal as you at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't agree with that comment more. I remember a few times when we gotten into accidents, like if it was my fault, I would go straight from the pits. Like even if I passed by that driver's pits on the way to my pits, I would stop, get out of the car, and go apologize before I even got back, because it was my obligation to make sure that the relationship was okay, because that's more important than the actual race. Mm-hmm. And I remember when people did the opposite to me, and I was on the short end of the stick, and they didn't come up to me, it was hatred for the rest of the time. Like, I would never want somebody to feel that same way to me. You know what I mean?
I know. You know, we're all quirky as racers too. Like for me, different sports obviously, but like I didn't want to hear that immediately. Like I don't want to knock your face off right now. Like I know,
like, get out of here.
I know you didn't mean it, right? We're gonna race again, but just hold that for a minute, right? And then when it's all calmed down, then we can laugh about how you screwed me or I messed you up, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know, just different personalities, you know.
But I think we're all on the same page. You just
absolutely.
Mistake. Yeah,
right. Totally.
I agree with that 100%. The funny part about it is like RJ makes it sound like it's an easy thing to do, right? But there's always certain situations, and the reason that I asked RJ that question is because he's clearly being a model for the young kids.
Yep.
And there's a lot of things that can be learned from that statement. Like, if you're humble and you own up to your mistakes,
Yep.
it can help in your whole life. Even
Totally.
if you don't become an off-road racer and you just want to become a teacher, if you own up to your mistake before anything else gets worse, it's going to help everybody in the long run.
Yeah, you're teaching life lessons
100%.
in those situations, 100.
So, how was it, though, like, back-to-back Crandon World Cup wins, man? That must have felt pretty gratifying, dude.
Man, it was insane. To do it last year was just a dream come true. We did it at the 50th. It was the biggest short course race that we've had yet. So to do it there was absolutely insane, and everything we went through that weekend was killer. So to come back this year, I didn't race Pro 4 all year. That was my only Pro 4 race this year with Lucas not having the class. Losing some sponsorship, I just haven't had the budget to race Pro 4 this year. So I didn't have a choice but to go back and defend my title. You can't just win it and not show up the next year, you know? Right. So dusted the cobwebs off, and they actually switched to DOT tires this year. So not only do we show up not racing all year, but we showed up on a tire that I've never even driven on before. So we kind of used, luckily in Crandon, we have 3 races. So there's 2 races and then the cup race. And we kind of just used the first 2 races as practice and getting prepared for that cup race. I ended up with a third the first race after some crazy races and crashes right in front of me. Then it got me a third place start position, ended up second in the second race, and it literally deja vu of what happened the year before. Got off to a good start in that cup race. I was running second Pro 4, and there were 17 Pro 2s we had to get through, which is nuts because sometimes you catch
Casey, when the Pro 2s start and then the Pro 4. Okay.
Yep, like a split gate moto kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah. So, those people that don't know, the cup race is Pro 2s versus Pro 4s. So they give them a head start. They don't tell us what the gap's going to be, and then they try to calculate based on the lap times through the weekend and how many vehicles we have to pass. So
nice.
We start picking off some of the guys in the back first, and it's funny. Some of the guys just want to get out of the way, and they're out there racing, and some of the guys are like blocking you lap 2, lap 3, and it's frustrating because you're leading. In your mind, you're like, hey, I have a chance to still win this, and they're blocking you on lap 3 of 10, and you're like, what? You're just ruining both our trucks at this point. But they have the same right to be on the track as us, so it's carnage out there. We had to pass 17 Pro 2s this year. Actually, full-on monster truck gravedigger styled one of the Pro 2s. I went inside of them. They tried to close the door, and then we just had a little bit of contact, and they spun out basically right in front of me. And it was either I stopped and stalled my truck or just stayed on the gas, and I went right over the top of their hood. Can't believe I didn't get a flat tire because I went literally up over their truck. But crazy stuff happened in that race. And then Kyle LeDuc was actually the lead Pro 4, and right as I was right behind him, and right as he was catching the last Pro 2, I was in third. He went up in flames, so he ended up blowing up, I think, the power steering pump. So it made me lead Pro 4, and I was able to pass the lead Pro 2 with just a lap to go. So it was an insane race. I mean, it's not like a typical race because in a Pro 4, you're never really leading the race. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if you're catching the guys or if you're going to catch them or what's all happening in front of you. So it's kind of just a wild crapshoot race, and to do it 2 years in a row is definitely hard to do.
Dude, that's so cool, though. Just talking about that, do you think they could do that with normally aspirated and turbo UTVs?
Yeah, so they did that last year, actually, at the Challenge Cup. I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I believe that they're going to do that again this year.
Really?
They did do it last. Yeah, they did it last year, and it was I think the turbos ended up catching them, so they started the naturals up front and the turbos behind. And I think that the hard part about the Lucas stuff is in Crandon, they don't throw cautions. If someone rolls over in turn, if they can avoid it, they just do a local yellow and they just keep running us.
Yeah, I feel like that's better.
Yeah, it is, especially for those cup races, because what happens at Lucas is you get to lap 4 and then there's a yellow. Well, now the UTV, the turbos have caught the back of the NAs and their advantage is gone, So that's what makes it tough. Out at Lucas Oil that Crandon doesn't really have to deal with. So last year, I believe turbos went 1-2, but I think an NA car still got third. So it was a good race, and I believe they're doing it again this year at the Challenge Cup in Glen Helen.
That's pretty cool.
Sounds awesome.
What's the purse to win the Crandon World Cup?
Well, it was not as much this year, but last year for the 50th was $50,000. So it was a big payday for short course. And then this year it was $30,000. So it covered the trip out there. So I'm glad I knocked the dust off the Pro 4 and brought it.
Yeah, that's cool. Did you buy the guys tacos too afterwards? That's.
Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah. We came home. I still want to do take the team out. I actually want to. They give the winner a Henry rifle, so I want to take the guys out.
Oh, sweet.
And go shooting, and maybe
Henry,
do. You know.
What's a Henry rifle? Okay, is that like super cool?
Yeah, it's definitely like an iconic. I don't know, how would you put it in terms of something a little more general?
It's really nostalgic, you mean?
Yeah,
or
for
it's
sure.
like a really badass.
No,
weapon?
well, both. I'm sure you'd agree.
Yeah, it's more like just like an old school badass. You know, it's like I guess like Levi jeans. Like they're just a
there you
staple.
go. Perfect.
Been around forever. You know.
Perfect.
And they engrave it so it says like winner 51st Crandon World Cup.
Sweet.
So it's kind of a cool piece to have.
Yeah, super
Dude,
classic. Super classic.
I would love to be able to fire one of those things, man.
Definitely.
That would be super fun. All right, well, so one of the other questions that I wanted to ask you was, you've been on the forefront of the UTV industry for a long time. You were, like you said, golf cart guy for a long time, but it turned into being something a little bit different for you. You got the opportunity to do what's now called the XP1K video series, and for anybody that hasn't seen that, you have to go check it out. Just go to YouTube and search XP1K. It's insane the things that RJ has done in a side-by-side. But a couple of the things that I wanted to understand was, like, when you go to a project like that, like let's just say the first year, how do you even come up with these things to do? Because like you're doing flips, you're riding on the side wheels, like you're going over some of the gnarliest terrain. Like some of these ideas will blow you away if you just think about going out on a trail ride, how hard it is. Like it must have been super cool to be involved with that project, but also a little bit daunting at the same time.
Man, those you're right. Those videos are stressful. My favorite part of them is the day that they're over. The shooting's concluded. We've got it wrapped in the bag and
It's a wrap.
and waiting to see it come out. So yeah, there's a lot of stressful stunts, you know. And I didn't really grow up being a stunt driver. Grew up racing, and obviously being focused on making a car go around the track fast. So the goal with those videos was to show the world what UTVs could do. You know, they kind of, as they were getting more popular, they were just becoming fast golf cart and getting that rap in. And it was actually when Craig Scanlon was still over at Polaris, and he was my boss at the time. And I had a meeting with him, and I said, hey, I want to do a video, you know, and show what these UTVs are capable of. And he says, okay, well, show me what that looks like. And I actually went to Joey D, who owned UTV Underground at the time, and Joey's been a friend of mine forever. And I told him, like, hey, I think Craig's into this, and it just kind of skyrocketed from there. Joey's great with ideas and coming up with a plan, and he was teamed up with the film crew at the time, who then put all the ideas into play. Man, they actually
Joey's good with coming up with ideas to try to kill you? Like, seriously, man, some of those.
So Joey didn't have the ideas that wanted to kill me. Joey was the nervous one that didn't want to have to call my mom if something went wrong.
Oh, okay.
But Mad Media did a lot of the stunt coordination. So they would put a lot of the stunt stuff together. They grew up kind of in the skateboard world. So I think that's where a lot, as you can see, the stunts kind of stem from, is just putting UTVs in a cool environment, pushing them to limits that people wouldn't ever imagine, and then, filming it with badass cameras and a badass scenery.
Dude, one of the cool stunts, Casey, that you would like is he was able to, like how you can grind a skateboard on a rail. Mm-hmm. He did that in a UTV, but it was over a log, right, or something. Like you got to the log went underneath a skid plate or something. Yeah,
so that was up in Washington. It was actually a log. I don't know what you'd call it. They did logging on their property. So there's a creek that ran through the property. It was probably 30 feet wide, and I went from the one end of the property to the other side of the creek, over 2 trees that they'd cut down and logged on their property. So I basically did a 50-50 grind.
Nice.
With on the arms of the razor over a creek. So just some things that have really never been seen in a UTV, to get people's attention, and to those that would just always look at a UTV as, hey, that's a vehicle to haul hay around my ranch, you know?
Dude, but like if you think about it, all right, so you already got to be like admire him for being pulling all these G's and driving a Pro 4 and backing into a corner and being a badass racer, launching it like through the air at these races and stuff. But then when you see like the balls of steel that he had to be able to go through and do some of those things in these videos, like it takes a lot of driving skill and literally a lot of cojones to be able to do that, man. So kudos to you, bro.
Yeah, it's a total different mindset too. So like he's already a wheel, right, in real life, but then you take it to this next level that like nobody's doing, and I guarantee you it just becomes like muscle memory when you're in the next, you know, like you said the most stressful you've ever been is when you're shooting that. Right now, all of a sudden, you just talked about a race that you caught the last Pro 2 with, you know, a lap to go. Like that same pressure, it was probably like nothing because you're like, I got 50 people, all this money, and we got to do a 50-50 grind over a creek.
And we only got one shot.
Yeah, one shot at it. So like he probably realizes, but if he doesn't, it probably took you like to even one more level of your skill. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, no, you nailed it on the head. Kind of, you have. You know, at some of those days of filming, there was anywhere from 30 to 50 people on set, whether it be camera guys, assistants, light crews, all kinds of different people that make the production go through. And I could mess it up instantly. I break the car, and now there's 50 people getting paid to sit around, and they're doing absolutely nothing because I made a simple mistake. So the stress is definitely at an all-time high through those. It's kind of one of those things that when you asked me and Ronnie to do the "Are you smarter than a fifth grader or third grader?" I was like, I guess we're going to see which one of us is dumber right now. And that's kind of how I felt doing some of those videos is it was like, am I dumb enough to do this or what's going on here?
Yeah, but that's
same
what, like,
stress level. That's awesome.
And you know what's funny about that, though, is like I can relate it to real life is like I don't ever want to call anybody dumb, right? Like I always think of people as being naive because you know what you know and you don't know what you don't know, right?
Right.
So what RJ is saying is he's just naive. He doesn't know whether a vehicle can do that or not. He's just going to go try it, right? And in real life, that happens a lot because people always go into situations that they know. For me, it's been, unfortunately, injuries in my life, and I have to overcome those things. For somebody at work, they don't know how to do that next task, but if they're real go-getters like RJ, they'll go and figure it out, or they'll go ask questions and try to answer it. RJ, I guarantee, didn't just go and grind on a log. He understood balance points. He might have looked at some skateboard videos, whatever it was, like, and to try to figure it out. So I think it's super cool that people can.
I'm so excited about it. Seriously.
It makes it so that you can understand how awesome the human being is, like so that they can overcome all this crazy cool stuff, whether it be grinding a log, jumping a backflip in a razor, or you know, figuring out how to do something new at work. It's badass, man. Oh, and John said, good tacos in Wisconsin, more like good cheese curds.
Well, of course.
Were you guys?
Yeah, if it's not deep fried in Wisconsin, I don't know if it's safe to eat.
It's like don't drink the water in Mexico.
That's my first experience with cheese curds was in your neighborhood. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever. Well, you don't live in Wisconsin, so you wouldn't know. Yeah, so good.
How many cheese curds did you eat?
A lot. I think there was about 7 of us when we flew in, and we stopped at a little bar restaurant in Rhinelander, which is 30 minutes from the track. And I think I looked across the table, and I think every single thing on the table was deep fried.
Of course.
And I'm like, oh, who are we?
There goes all my training.
Off-road racing food, man. Clearly, we're not the Myles Cheek of the pits, dude. Going to getting cheese curds.
We needed Myles in our pit for sure.
Dude, hardcore, right? So the only other question that I really had that was involving racing and stuff was you did a race in, I think it was a Pro 4, that was ice. It was going up a snow hill or an ice hill. That looked insane, dude. Maybe you could tell us a little bit more about it because I don't know like the backstory behind that.
Yeah, so that was one of the coolest things I've ever gotten to be a part of. It was called Red Bull Frozen Rush. So I don't know if you've seen any of the Red Bull Signature Series stuff, like the Red Bull Rampage, and Red Bull has their own basically like they come up with just crazy ideas and that only Red Bull can kind of do and pull off.
Like launching those cardboard things off the cliff into the water.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's one of them. So that's like one of their signature. They call them signature series events for their TV show. So I believe Ricky Johnson, old motocross racer Ricky Johnson, had the idea, and it worked with Red Bull on basically taking Pro 4s, studding the tires, and racing them up a ski hill. And he did some work with them in the beginning years to just kind of do some testing. And then it turned into a invite race. So they invited 10 Pro 4 drivers, and basically did a race second week in January for 3 years in a row. And I didn't go to the first one. And then the second year, which was 2016. Yeah. So the very first week of 2016, I got invited to go. One problem was I'd never raced Pro 4. I drove Pro 2 and Pro Light 2-wheel drive stuff. So I got invited to this crazy cool race, and I couldn't turn it down. It was, I think the motto was 10 champions, one king, or something was their motto. So long story short, we went to Maine. Obviously, the closest place to Southern California where we're all based is Maine. So
wait, what truck did you drive?
I rented a Pro 4 from Stronghold Motorsports.
Oh, okay.
So their shop was around the street from mine. Rented a truck from them, and we drove the quick drive to Maine. I didn't drive; I flew. But the reason they did Maine was because our trucks were all carbureted still at the time, and Maine, their ski hill was only 1,200 feet in elevation.
Oh, dang!
The 1,200 feet in elevation, and something about, I don't know anything about snow, but it was like called sugar snow, I believe, and it didn't have, or it had a lot of condensation to it.
It's
so
like icy,
it would
I think.
Yeah, so exactly. So basically they would water the snow and it turned into ice. We were basically running on ice because if it got powdery, the trucks would just kind of get stuck and not really put on a show. So basically we were running on ice with 700 1-inch studs on each tire.
Nice.
So they were like death spikes.
Dude, whoever's going to put all those studs in the tires has a freaking monotonous job.
Thinking that too.
Crazy deal. I actually have one of them at my shop, and you can't even pick it up because it's like 700 needles basically in a tire. So,
dude, you got to keep
really
that forever.
Cool.
It's so badass.
Yeah, really cool one-off event. I wish they still did it. They said that it was the most expensive event they put on. I don't know if it was because of building the track. Yeah, it was. I don't know. Really cool. And now that I race Pro 4, have my own, they don't do it, of course. So I didn't do very good. I think I got like 9th both years. But I was racing the best guys. I was racing the Rob Max, the Greaves, all the guys that have won Pro 4 races for years. And it was a learning experience for me. Really cool to be a part of it. And the TV was insane. I had more people tell me they saw that race than almost any other race I've done in my life. So it was a really cool race, really cool event. Hopefully they bring it back. But yeah,
especially now because you got some freaking laps in a Pro 4 under your belt.
I know. I don't have to rent one. I actually have one.
Dude, that's crazy, though. Like, when I saw it, because I watched it on TV, I didn't know it was all that Red Bull stuff, but I watched it on TV. I was amazed at how much, I don't know, like how much traction or where you guys could actually put the truck, because I thought the truck was going to float way more with all the power.
No joke. Most of the track, we had more traction than on dirt. No joke. Like as the day went on, it would start to kind of tear up. And even the last year, we got into dirt a little bit because there wasn't enough snow on the ground. But yeah, when it was icy in the mornings, when they'd water it all night, and then in the morning when we drive on it, you almost couldn't get sideways. It was insane how hooked up you were on the ice. I couldn't believe it.
Dude, that's like a whole nother driving level. Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool, though. Like, and well, again, kudos to you. Like, because you got to change up all your stuff. Like, you're used to driving a Pro 2 and a Pro Light. That's a rear-wheel drive car. You're throwing it around and it's sideways all the time. And now you're driving a Pro 4 where it's point and shoot,
stuck.
Point and shoot in the ice, and you're just stuck everywhere. That's way different.
Did you? The one question that I can't seem to get out of my mind is: did you go for the rental insurance?
Like I was trying not to die. There was one night we went to dinner, and it was -19. Our rental car read -19.
Oh,
and I'm like,
my God.
Yeah, and I don't do cold. I live in Southern California for a reason. I'm a wuss when it's like anything below 60, count me out. And it is negative 19, and me and my crew chief and the couple guys that were with us were like sprinting from the rental car to dinner. It was not good.
I'll bet.
Dude, the coldest I've ever been is -6, and I didn't know what to do. Like, I thought I was gonna be like RJ and just like, this is it. I'm just gonna cash.
Yeah, this is it. It's over. I think at that point it's all the same. It's all just life or death at that point.
It's funny what motivates you. I've been in Pittsburgh. First time I went, we had to go down to Permanente Brothers, right? Whatever's on, the food guy that goes everywhere.
Well, have you been to Permanente Brothers, RJ?
No.
Oh, it'll blow your mind how good these sandwiches are.
So same thing. It was 19 below and freaking windy. And we had to walk 2 blocks, and we're like, "Yeah, let's do it." We're lizards. We're Arizona people, but we had to go for the sandwich. It's so stupid. So I guess the point is what was the motivation? Where you're like, "Nope, I just need to go to the heater."
Yeah, dude, I'm getting anxiety just thinking about it right now.
It was gnarly. I put a seat heater in my seat of my race truck.
Perfect. Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was so gnarly that like we had to put like engine block heaters on the truck just so we could start them in the morning because the trucks aren't built to do that. I mean, antifreeze and stuff in the radiator, stuff that we don't really normally think about was crazy. They had a tent for us. It was kind of cool how they had it lined out. Like all 10 of us all parked in the same tent, and it was a pretty cool race the way they had it laid out, really professional. So it'd be rad if they brought it back.
Yeah, that's super cool. It sounds to me like the only thing that I've done, and it's not the same type of racing, but at the X Games they treated us like gold, like we were like the stars of the field or whatever you want to call it. It felt like we were rock stars when we were at the whole event. So it kind of sounds like the same thing. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
So one of our listeners is chiming in right now. John said, "Oh, try negative 29 degrees air temp.
See what happens
with negative 58 wind chill." No, thank you, John.
Thanks.
We're gonna go ahead and hard pass on that one.
Yeah, we got pants and long sleeves because we got down to the 60s today.
My AC right now, because I'm wearing this long sleeve shirt, is set at 73 and I'm freezing.
Yeah.
No way, not doing it.
I know, right? All right, man. Well, we have pretty much just like our rapid fire Q&A section to go through. But for anybody that wants to get a hold of RJ, he has. Why don't you tell him the Instagram because you have 2, but whatever one you want to share.
Yeah, if you just follow my personal Instagram, it's at the RJ37. Basically, any social media platform at the RJ37 is where you can find me.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and your brother Ronnie has a page as well too, where you guys share stuff together too. It's kind of neat because you guys vibe off each other so much. It's pretty cool, man. So it's neat to see the camaraderie, the family environment, and the way that you guys were brought up. And good old Randy really gave you guys, I don't know, the same lessons that we all had, right, growing up. So turning wrenches and holding the flashlight, man. That's how we all grew up.
I'm going to talk about nerve-wracking.
What?
Yeah, holding the flashlight for dad. You talk about nerve-wracking.
Yeah, that's way harder than a freaking Pro 4 race, dude.
For sure.
If you don't hold that flashlight right.
You get yelled at even if you did it perfectly right.
Exactly. Yep, agreed.
All right, so we're going to go through. Do you want to have anything else you need to say, or you want to thank anybody before we start this rapid-fire Q&A?
No, thank you guys for having me on the show. It's been awesome. So I don't know how I'm going to do here, but I'll try my best.
This is way easier than the freaking third.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Okay, I started sweating.
Yeah, so these are pretty good. But thank you very much for coming on and joining us, dude.
Absolutely. But don't forget, we're not going to completely let you off the hook with the anxiety. It for sure is, as we like to call, profiling questions.
Yeah, some of these are huge profiling questions, but you're welcome to take any of these questions and pass them on to profile your friends as well.
Okay.
All right, I'll start it off, Case. Dunes or the river?
Oof. River.
You're going river? So for those people that don't know, RJ has a pad. They call it the Anderson compound, the river, and they just built a badass slide into it.
Nice. So these changed up a little bit. I'm pretty excited.
I specifically put these first 2 on
Dude, they're
for him.
super profilers. I love it. Okay,
Yeah.
so 3-wheeler or quad?
Oh, man. I got to go LT80 mini quad.
Nice. Okay.
Barsha or Webb?
Dude, I don't really like either of them.
You want to go Roxon or Tomac then?
Yeah, I like both of them.
Oh, great. All right. Tomac or Webb?
Tomac.
All right. He's going Tomac.
Favorite food?
Favorite food? Mexican food. Tacos. Anything Mexican food, I'm down.
We know this answer.
What?
This next one.
Well, I don't know. I think he could surprise us. Little Smokies or pizza rolls?
Pizza rolls.
Yep,
Yeah,
I knew it.
Casey was right.
Favorite soda?
So I'm not a huge soda guy, but Dr. Pepper.
I knew it.
Sweet.
I knew it.
And you know what else is awesome about that? He didn't have to toe the energy drink line.
Yeah. We've had so many people go, no, I'll just, Rockstar, Monster. Uggs or Crocs?
Uggs.
You're going Uggs?
Yeah, I got these. They're actually badass, like work boot Uggs. They're pretty. I know. You're probably thinking I got the big old tall Uggs, but I got these pretty rad work boot Uggs, and in the winter they're the jam.
Wait, is Uggs making like new stuff that we don't even know about? Because my co-host that started the show with me, Cody, he might need to be on this new Uggs game. Did you know that you can put your Crocs in four-wheel drive? Have you heard about this?
He is a Pro 4 driver.
Yeah.
Four-wheel drive.
So, Crocs, some people like the Crocs a little bit better just because the four-wheel drive option, so.
How about most memorable race?
Well, let's preface this by saying it doesn't have to be an off-road race.
Yeah,
it could have been a dirt bike race. It could have been a bicycle race down the street with your friend. It could have been a jet ski race.
Because we did kind of get that already, didn't we?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
But this could be battling your buddies, like drunk on a three-wheeler at the dunes. Like, it doesn't matter what it is.
I would still have to say the Crandon 50th. That one was pretty special for me, so I'd have to say that one for sure. Even though I've had some pretty good races with my buddies that were not on camera, I'd still have to say the Crandon 50th.
Do you guys have? Did you put posters and stuff at the shop, like with commemorating? Is that the right? Commemorating that?
No, I always say next year I'm gonna decorate my walls, but I still haven't done it.
Yeah, too busy actually making shit happen. What's the next one, Case?
Favorite flavor of
coffee too? Coffee ice cream, like Java chip, coffee, or mint chip.
Have you mixed those? Because that's next level.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yep,
good.
Yeah.
All right,
Wait,
good.
what do you do?
If I go to Baskin Robbins, I get one scoop coffee and another scoop mint chip.
Perfect.
Oh, is the best bite the one that you're getting right in between with both of them?
It is. They complement.
There's no bad bites in that program.
Agree.
Ski or snowboard?
Snowboard. I've never
Right.
tried skiing.
We do know this answer too. Dogs or cats?
Dogs or cat? Oh, dogs.
Netflix or YouTube?
Ooh, YouTube.
Yeah, I figured he was a YouTube guy.
Burrito or taco?
Burrito. You can make a burrito anything.
This is true.
That's true. All right, so if you had our buddy Josh Shorter that works at Thor, he likes his California burritos, the guac, the freaking potatoes, like all. What's your favorite burrito?
Yeah, I got this place right by where I went to high school. If you're ever in Riverside, the best California burrito. I'll take you.
All right, what's it called? Or are you giving not
California.
Giving,
California burrito.
Is that what the company or the place is called?
No, I don't even know what it's called. We just called it the taco shop my whole life. I don't even know what it's called.
Perfect.
That is perfect. Let's see here.
Supercross or motocross? But hold on a second. I just had a thought.
What?
I went back into the ice age for a second, but you said you can't mess up a burrito, and the most fond childhood memories I have of burritos is my dad making leftover burritos, like stuff that doesn't make sense.
Oh, like trash can burritos at the dunes.
100.
Yeah.
And he makes it, and he's like, "You want me to make you one?" And you're like, "No chance." But he makes a second one because he knows as soon as you taste it.
Yeah, that you're gonna want it.
I'm totally on board with that.
All right. Well, then that raises the bar. Then have you had like the next day at the dunes the trash can burrito in the morning? It has whatever's left over from the night before.
Mac and cheese,
No.
freaking vegetables. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah, all in one.
So good.
No, I have not, but I've done it in quesadillas before. It's kind of the same thing,
Okay,
where you put whatever you got in a quesadilla. I've done that.
Definitely, I get a pass on that one for sure.
Dude, now I'm hungry. I want a burrito. All right, what's the next one?
Supercross or motocross?
Supercross for sure.
Nice.
I don't know, man. I thought he was going to take motocross.
I thought he was too.
He was all about the Crandolina wine mixer. I think he liked going tapped.
Yep.
I have such a high respect for motocross, but for some reason, like anytime I watch motocross, if I try to watch it for too long, it's like nap time for me. Like I can just fall asleep watching motocross, and I don't know why. And Supercross keeps me entertained.
Yeah, I guess because it's short. Like it changes every 5 minutes. Like instead of those big long motos, you got a qualifier, and then it's the next guys and the next guys.
They are doing better with their coverage now, though. I would agree.
Oh, I agree.
It's way better, but yeah, like it used to be. Like, I don't even bother.
Well,
just
dude,
wait for Cycle News.
Now though, okay, so not to be the viewing asshole, but like I watched the Millville race that we didn't get to talk about today, but I watched it and I used the NBC app where you got to like, you don't see commercials or whatever. And they just have the camera sitting there on the freaking banners.
Yeah, that's
and they
annoying.
Don't show anybody. And so this time I just worked on the computer watching the whole thing. So I probably saw 3 minutes of the race and I watched it for 2 hours. So it's like, I totally get what RJ's saying. Like the Supercross, you would have been like there. You would have been drinking beer with your buddies on a Saturday night.
I'm like shutting the kids down. Like, no, quiet. This is my time, everybody.
Back it up.
Yeah.
What other form of racing would you like to try? And before you answer, dude, like I said before, it could be anything. Boat racing, monster trucks, F1, RC. It could be anything, dude.
So the one thing before I die I gotta do is jet sprint boat racing. Like the one where they're like it looks like 6 inches of water and their co-drivers like pointing them which way to go like this.
I love it. It's like rally car. You know what it is.
Yeah, no, I know what it is.
Totally.
It's sketchy
It
as
is.
because when they mess up, they just go like sliding across the grass.
If you need a roll cage in your boat, that's something I can sign myself up for.
Oh my god, dude! What if Ronnie was your co-driver?
Whatever, I'm in for it.
Dude, that would be the most epic boat race I think. Or you know what? You get a co-driver, Ronnie gets a co-driver, and then you guys have to battle.
I'm in. One day I have to do it.
I was totally surprised by that and pumped.
At the same time?
Like next level for me. Like, oh my gosh, we got a good answer here. This is great.
All right, so now I'm thinking, like, I wonder, like, what you got to do to execute this plan. Like, how much is it? Like, where's the racing league at? Like,
I feel like it happens in garages and ranches somewhere. Like, that's where
it's like big in New Zealand. Like, I think they do it in Washington, but it's like biggest over in New Zealand and Australia.
Dude, that's one of my bucket list places I want to visit. So count me in. I'm there with you. I'll be pit crew guy. I don't know how to work on boats, but I'll figure it out.
You can clean off my roll cage if I roll it.
To pull the grass out. All right, last question. This is the biggest granddaddy of them all. This actually trumps the belt.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
The third grader belt. Chips and guacamole or fries and ketchup. Or it could be ranch.
Chips and guac.
Oh,
Dude,
yeah.
yep.
Wing, ding, ding, ding.
So, RJ passed with flying colors on all those, man. Good job, bud.
Oh, thanks, guys. That was a little stressful at times.
So we have to say that you're profiling it to make it a little bit more stressful because otherwise it'd be too easy for you guys.
Although you kind of went next level on the profiling because I'm picturing three-wheeler and quad.
Yeah.
It's two totally different people.
Yeah, when you
it totally is.
If you say three-wheeler and quad, like if you put a meme up like on the internet, they're gonna guarantee but there's no three-wheeler or quad in the picture. There's just two dudes.
Yeah, totally.
They're
different.
guaranteed they know exactly which dude it is.
Right. 100%.
All right, man. Well, we really appreciate you taking the time with us. Hopefully we didn't bother you making your fantastic California burrito tonight. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show, guys. I appreciate it. It was nice talking with you guys.
Yeah, well,
same.
We're going to probably see you at Glen Helen. I'm going to try to get out there. You said it's in 3 weeks?
Yeah, it's the weekend after World Championships.
Oh, okay, cool.
3 weeks or a month.
I should be able to swing that. That's probably when I need to return Craig's car to him anyway, so maybe I'll just be dropping it off, hanging out with you guys at Glen Helen. So, well, thanks again for coming on the show, dude. You did an awesome job this weekend at the Lucas races. Congratulations on being the back-to-back Crandolina Wine Mixer World Champ. And, yeah, thanks for joining us, dude. I hope that our audience really enjoyed talking with you tonight.
Yeah, sounds good, guys. Well, it sounds like I'll be seeing you in Glen Helen. Good luck at World Championships.
Yeah, thanks, homie. I appreciate it. All right, man. Well, we'll catch up with you soon.
Later, guys.
See ya.
Peace.
Man, so much good stuff, dude. It's so fun to talk with that. Like, I just have a good time having conversations like that because it really does. Like, everybody chimes in and tells me, man, it feels like you guys are having a good time because you're just talking shop, right? Like, it couldn't have been more shop talk than that. Like, God, it was really, really cool.
Yeah,
and
but
plus,
what's so awesome, though, is, like, deep down there's so much meat, like, to the conversation, like life lessons. You know what I mean? Like, we were talking about the...
right. Like, don't mess up holding the flashlight.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, no, but you're
you know
right.
what I mean. Yep.
There is a lot of actual meat to the conversation. There's a lot of stuff that goes on, but I think most of our audience can understand that. They can read between the lines and see, like, oh, well, I've been through something like that. Or, yeah, I know what he's talking about when he says he's racing and doing this, because he can relate it on a real world level, you know?
Right.
So
I think there's appreciation for both is what I'm saying.
yeah, exactly. So, well, thank you very much to everybody for tuning in. You guys are awesome. Like I say every time, you guys are our lifeblood. So please keep tuning in and commenting and hanging out with us because you guys make this show exactly what it is, and we really, really appreciate it. John had a whole bunch of questions and comments, man. We really appreciate it. All those guys. Hope that Devin enjoyed his RJ interview tonight, or the interview we had with RJ tonight. I really, really thank you guys so much. Next week's guest, we have, well, we talked about Polaris Razors a lot. So it's a Polaris Razor driver. His name's Cody Bradbury. So Cody does the Work Series. He's going to try to do some Texplex races next weekend. He's a very, very skilled driver. He lives kind of near RJ, actually. So one of my favorite things about Cody is he has a really good design aesthetic to the cars that he builds. They're a really cool red color usually. So I'm interested to talk with him about that. Like I said, thank you very much to all of our guests. Thank you to our sponsors. Give them a huge shout out. Whenever you talk with them, the guys over at Shock Therapy, use the code DIRTLIFE, save a whole bunch of money on anything that they provide. And I couldn't be more of an advocate about their suspension tuning, man. The shocks that I had were just amazing. Thank you very much to KMC Wheels and the guys over at EFX Tires for joining this RS1 project. It's been super cool. So we can't wait to get racing on those wheels and tires. Thank you very much to Zollinger Racing Products, guys. They make insane good stuff. Use the code DIRTLIFE at ZollingerRacingProducts.com. And thank you to the guys at SolderWeld, Lance and all the crew over at SolderWeld. You can use the code DIRTLIFE and go get yourself an off-road repair kit over there. I really appreciate you coming in too, Case. That was awesome that we got to hang out with RJ tonight.
Definitely. Good time.
So you got any shouts-outs before we dip?
No.
I got a shout out though. I got to shout out your 450X for making you happy over the weekend.
Yeah, definitely.
It's pretty cool that you get to work on that thing and just wrenching on it and reliving old memories and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
So when I saw you posted that stuff, it really made me want to. I've been working on this Razor, so it's been getting me out a little bit, but I really, really am enjoying these conversations and pictures and stuff about two wheels. So I think pretty soon I'm gonna have to get me one.
I'm not as good with the T-handles as I used to be.
Really?
Yep.
Like spinning them?
Yeah, I used to be able to double them.
Oh, like that?
Two going, you know, the old two-gun.
Tool tricks?
Yeah, exactly. Can't do it anymore. That's okay.
You're going to have to step up your game. Is thinking because you got your head cut open and you can't do it again, or what?
Maybe just old. I don't know.
I'm going to have to see if I can get my T-handles game set back up again, too. Well, like I said, thank you guys very much for joining us. We really appreciate it. We hope you guys have a good rest of your week. We love you. Good night.
Night.
Thanks for listening to The Dirt Life Show.